Who's that?
Your video says Mike Stanley.
It says Mike Stanley?
Yeah.
Oh, it's supposed to say Mike Stone. All right, well, I guess
That's
we got
cool.
Mike Stanley instead of Mike Stone today.
I just bought some
Baka,
Stanley
what up,
tools the
homie?
other day.
Hey.
We got my man Baka watching.
Hey,
I don't know if
shout out
you
to
just
young
tuned out or
Baka.
whatnot, but Baka, what up, man? You in Vegas, I'm in Vegas, but you're going to be there a day after I leave, which really kind of sucks. Because I wanted to kick it with you down in Vegas.
Hey.
Or maybe LA, but I don't know if I'm going to make a trip to LA next week or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the official stuff.
Yeah, let's get it started.
Yes,
All right,
Scott,
1,
my
2,
favorite
3.
Yeah.
Hey, Turono Talks Podcast, you know what it is. It's your man Maloney with two very not special friends of mine.
Yeah, what up, homie?
Yeah.
Shout out to Maloney. I love it how he, low key shows us love, but this is at the same time.
I want all the smoke.
That's what family do.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we back. It's another week. It's Wednesday.
true.
You know what I mean? And,
What a year so far.
You're speaking all facts.
2019
No lies.
has been has it been fire, has it been flames, or has it been fuckery so far? What's 2019 been so far? I'm leaning towards fuckery.
2019's been fire. Let's give it up for Big Soulja.
Yeah.
Soulja Boy gets respect
Soulja
now,
Boy,
You
boy.
guys
business
haven't
hoe.
seen the New Brilliant Idiots episode, but they correlate Soulja Boy to being Jesus Christ. And they make some very, 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 very valid points.
Oh, man.
I was telling you guys some of them before we started the show.
Soulja.
Yeah. Soulja.
The soul of
God.
Oh, man.
You know
Shout out
what?
Soulja Boy, man.
He kind of did father this whole new generation in hip hop too.
Which
so,
is
like,
what I said.
Like,
You know
is
what I
he the
mean?
new Rakim?
No, he's not the new Rakim. I was saying to you guys, like, before any of this came out, that he's the father of this generation of internet rappers, but not in style, not in necessarily content, but as far as marketing, he's the father of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we're not gonna give it to we're not gonna give him Rakim.
Fuck no. he's
I think
Soulja Boy.
I think he did more than Rakim did, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Straight.
legacy or sales? What are you talking about?
A bunch of shit.
The legacy, I'll say.
Yeah.
Hell no. Hell no. His legacy
lyrical
is not.
legacy is different than overall influence in terms of everything that came after Soulja Boy.
Can you really say that you think Soulja Boy influence on the game is as impactful as Rakim?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Nah.
the internet helped a lot.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, as far as like marketing wise, and as far as being able to utilize the internet and kind of take product and being a nobody, unknown, unheard of, and catapult yourself to the top of your whatever it is he done and sell everything that he sold. Yeah, hell yeah, he's really dope, but I don't think he means more to the game or he did more for the game than Rakim.
Man, I think
I
so.
definitely can't say
I
that.
unfortunately think so.
You think he did more?
Nah.
How much more did Ryan do other than elevate the lyrical aspect of the game? Which,
Well,
again, the lyrical aspect has not transcended into
He kind of
heavy
set the
sales.
bar. He set the bar.
You know what I mean? Like, the most lyrical rappers don't sell the most records.
Well, he evolved the game. He set the bar and he evolved the game.
But did the lyrics really matter? If they did, then when people with crazy lyrics would be making way more money than those who don't fucking rap well.
But I mean, at the same time, ebbs and flows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you could look at somebody like Nas and Jay-Z and say
Yeah.
that they are the pinnacle of lyricism.
Yeah.
And they are direct influence, influence from a Rakim, right? And they have made Nas, for example. Nas is approaching $1 billion silently.
Yeah.
So he's the direct lineage of Rakim, right?
Yeah, but didn't Drake get there quicker? Is
Drake?
Drake a billionaire yet?
Drake's not a billionaire.
What is he right now?
Drake's probably about 100 million or 200 millionaire at best.
He'll get there soon.
He might get there,
Fucking
but
Drake.
Nas at this point is approaching billionaire status.
Okay.
If not, probably 500 million.
He's got
Based
that
on what his
long money. He's got
investments
the
are.
long money. He got the long money. But he got those investments. But is it
Exactly.
because of his lyrical talent?
You know how a lot of people like
If he didn't have
give-
lyrical talent, he wouldn't have had the money to make those investments.
Possibly.
You know how a lot of people over the last 10 years have given the battle with Nas and Jay-Z to Jay-Z, even though Nas technically won at the time?
I have
Oh,
never
yeah.
heard
He
anyone
won the
say
battle,
that.
but didn't win the war.
That's very exactly.
Yeah.
He won the battle, but he didn't win the war.
So
A lot
Nas
of
won the
people-
battle, but Jay won the war.
Basically because Jay became a boss and signed Nas, and
Fair enough. Fair enough.
reached
Yeah,
being
yeah,
worth
yeah.
what he's worth and
Yeah.
stuff. People
Fair
would
enough.
like look at it like, well, Jay's more successful.
Yeah.
So he kind of, in the end, like won, right?
Right.
But what happens if Nas surpasses $1 billion?
That's what I'm saying.
What happens if Nas and Jay-Z end up being worth the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. And you also have
And
to
Nas
consider...
does it without being, because like
Without Rock Nation, without
No.
Let's be real.
Nas
here.
does it without being married to Beyonce.
Well, that, but the other thing as well too, and handing out all that fucking child support to Khalees. But aside the fact,
that affects his bank right there.
but aside,
And his other baby moms.
but aside from that fact, he
No,
does
he
it
don't pay his
without.
other baby moms.
No, but he did. He
yeah.
did.
You know how Lowe's looked at like the God MC.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? Like he's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And the like, lyric guys are guys who like, the real hip hop
Yeah.
and whatever shit, right? Like everyone rates Nas.
Yeah.
Not everyone rates Jay-Z, but a lot do, right? But Jay-Z is like kind of like, like he's the prior Drake. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's like this image that's...
He's the Frank Sinatra of hip hop.
Right,
Let's
right?
not get it confused.
But so he's always had a more successful mainstream career than Nas.
Post Hard Knock Life, yes. Prior to Hard Knock Life, no.
Which is a long time.
Yeah, but prior to Hard Knock Life, he wanted to be Nas. He wanted Nas' spot. You know what I mean?
But then,
post Hard Knock Life, hell
but
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's always been a higher commercial name.
Yeah.
So if Nas passes him on Billboard, and that passes him with worth, he did it without Beyonce. He did it dishing out a bunch of money to Khalees, and he did it without being the pinnacle of the best rapper.
But do you think
I
that's
feel you.
gonna happen?
I mean,
Really?
I think
Yeah.
Nas. I don't know. It's some days I think Jay-Z's better. Some days I think Nas better. You know what I mean? Like that's not my opinion. I'm looking at the consensus of like, even when Nas dropped that album this year, people were kind of clowning on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, it's like the Eminem thing happening with
Yeah.
Nas right now.
No,
where
I
it's
feel
like,
you.
Unless they really hit a home run, like Nas with Echo,
It wasn't a
then
great
people
project.
are like, it's not that good.
It wasn't.
But-
I mean, it wasn't.
But yet
It wasn't
Hov
horrible.
can
though.
drop subpar albums every 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's like, yo, he's the god still.
Because he's not trying to be lyrical on everything. Like
Well, that's true.
he's just trying to make a hit record or make something passable or send a little message, right?
You know, I get what you're saying. With Hov, you have to understand the thing that makes Hov is Hov makes it look like he's not trying.
That's
Hov makes
one thing I love.
everything look easy.
Effortlessness.
Right.
That's like
Nas,
Paul Rakim was a king.
Nas makes it sound effortless because when he rhymes, he sounds very blasé.
Yeah.
But when you really study the words he's using and break down, you're like, God damn, this motherfucker's a fucking dictionary thesaurus all rolled in one. You know, like his vocabulary is through the roof.
To a degree, but like I also don't think Nas necessarily thinks about the rhymes he writes all that deeply as well. Like
I think he
J.
just
Edgar
knows
Hoover
certain
was
things.
black.
He said some wild shit.
He
was
does
he?
say some wild
But
shit.
was he though?
I don't know. I think there's rumors that like he was like
maybe
he was
one of his
mixed or
parents.
something.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's possible. But Nas will say some wild shit where you're like, what the fuck? But he'll also mention people that you would never hear Jay-Z mention. Like he'll mention a Dr. Ivan Van Sertima.
Yeah.
You know, he'll mention stuff that George R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, you could tell he's read Game of Thrones because he says, like, I'm the father, I'm in the summer of my life, not the winter. And unless you read these books,
I am
you
the
would
dragon.
Yeah, you would
Maserati bumping Biggie,
You know
the
what I
great
mean?
legend blasting. I'm after the actress who played Faith Evans.
right. So you wouldn't know unless
Little
you were
Jackie on
read.
NASA's kid. I'm so high, I never lived like Mike Jackson crib.
Right? Never land. There you go. So not like I said, Nas is he's they're both on other levels. You know what I mean? To get to that level is really hard. There was a few dudes who could have ascended to that level. But yeah, I mean, my man's bank account.
But if he passes Hov and Worth,
Yeah.
then like, is he the god?
Mm.
Because think about like,
Does money make
no
you...
disrespect to Hov, because I love Hov.
Yeah.
But I think Nas has held integrity his career a lot more than Hov has.
Yeah, you could argue that. Depends what part of his career you're looking at, though, because some people will say
The
that.
music.
But again, you know, if you look at something like a Nostradamus, you know, was it a great
Well,
album?
You Owe Me is like Jay-Z's I Know What Girls Like.
I love that song.
I hate that
I fucking love that
What,
song.
Hov? Or?
I love, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
I was
that-
just listening to the original
That
on.
song makes my ears bleed.
I was
That
listening to
shit's
the original on
horrible.
Saturday, man.
I love In My Lifetime, but that song is fucking trash.
I love it, man.
Give
Give me that Black Street shit with Jay-Z. I fucking love it.
I love that. I love that. City Is Mine.
Oh, City Is
I love
Mine.
that.
Sorry,
Yeah,
that's what I was listening to the original. The City Is Mine.
No,
and then,
yeah, that
the
shit's
girls.
fire.
I like the
I know
girls.
what girls like is trash.
I like that shit, man. Lil' Kim did her thing.
And then they
man.
follow it up with Sunshine. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, get the fuck out.
Dude, Sunshine came up first.
Sunshine.
No, on the album.
On the
Oh,
album.
okay, you're following
But
over there.
Sunshine
Sorry.
had a
Tracklist.
Sunshine had a great break beat at the end of that fucking song that was dope. You
Even
just
that
sampled the end
sample's
of it.
kind of.
Yeah.
That's a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah,
It's one of my
that's what I'm
favorite records
saying.
of all time in hip hop.
That's what sold me that album was the
Who
end of that
sampled that
track.
shit first?
Well, sampled it first, or you actually used it?
Wait, are we talking about the end of the record, or are we talking about the?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Is it the Fearless 4?
Fearless
Let
4.
me double check.
This
I
sounds
should
right.
know that. I think it's the Fearless 4.
That sounds about right. But yeah, Nas is making that money. The reason why he's making that money was because he
Started
started a
rocking
startup
it.
company. So he's investing
Well,
into businesses.
like-
Lyft, for example. He's invested into Lyft.
Oh, say word? I didn't know
Could we
that.
potentially,
Yeah.
because the point I was trying to make with what, like, the comparisons in rap, like, when Hove does a tour, like, he fills the Air Canada Center, right?
Right,
When
right.
Nas does a tour, he fills, like,
He do 2,000 and
Yeah.
No, tiny word too.
He'll do Rebel,
yeah, he would do, like, Rebel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'd do
something
Rebel.
like that, right?
Sound Academy back in there, whatever.
Yeah. So
I've never caught Nas at anything bigger than
revenues
Rebel.
a lot more off of his music. Plus, Nas was signed to Sony for years. He signed to Def Jam. Jay's his own boss. So his music revenue is a large portion of his revenue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, his businesses necessarily aren't the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
his music career alone, he's living good.
Yeah.
So, like you say, Drake's worth 100 million or something like
It's
that.
got to be worth
roughly.
at least 100
So
million.
Hove off music is at least worth 100 million.
Hove's, I think, worth 500 million off music. I could be absolutely wrong,
You-
but from what
no.
I understand, he's close to 500 million off music.
And then what's he worth total? $1 billion?
No, I think him and Beyonce total are worth like close to $1 billion.
So there you go. Most of Jay-Z's wealth is for him as an artist. It's not all these business ventures he has.
And, well, I mean, you got to imagine he probably made a good chunk off selling,
He makes good money.
Ace of
Don't get me
Spades.
wrong.
Yeah.
But everybody looks at Jay like he's
Tidal.
the pinnacle of a genius businessman. When in reality, like, look at Nas. He can't make as much money off his music career
Yeah.
as Hove can. Like, Nas's musical worth is lower than what Jay-Z's is
Yeah.
in the overall equation of what they're worth.
But his
So if
business worth
Nas
is worth more?
solo is creeping for a Billy,
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say he's a better businessman than Jay-Z.
Or again, just luckier in the sense that he set up, he invested into a startup. You know what I mean? And with a startup,
Hove's
it's
invested
like,
in a lot of startups.
I don't think he invested into a startup business, not like that. A
Well,
startup's
like they
different. So
started their
startup is
own
like,
boozes and all that shit.
no, but what a startup is you have a great idea,
Yeah.
you come to me and you tell me
And you
what your
fund it,
idea
like
is,
Drake and
and
that
actually,
shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where Nas is making the lion's share of his money because that's where, again, he invested in Lyft,
Well,
invested in Bevel, and a few other
I think
companies where
Hove's
he's
done
selling
some
investor,
similar
right?
things. Like, I think some of the boozes that they've picked up, I don't necessarily think Rockefeller went out and literally, or whatever, I don't know. Like, they got Douce, like, I know
Yeah.
they own Douce,
Douce,
but I think
Ace of Spades.
I think some of the past brands they may have done, it could have very easily been a
Armadale.
startup. They invested and they became the face of it
Yeah,
to help
yeah.
sell it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Ja Rule with Fire. You guys didn't watch the Fire Festival.
No, I
documentary.
might watch that tonight, man, because you know what?
No,
I've been
it's-
seeing that all over my
Let
timeline,
me
so I
just
might
say
actually
this.
watch that tonight.
Sucking dick for Evian water is nuts.
Wow. Yeah, Shorty's doing
What?
fucking
No,
water.
dude.
What?
He ended up not having to do it, but
Ooh.
he was prepared.
He
was-
What the fuck?
No, dude was literally prepared to suck customs officer's dick to get the water in.
That's some fuckery right there.
What? The guy
That's
who's
some
Ja
absolute
Rule's
fuckery
partner?
right there. No, that couldn't have been Ja Rule's partner. That was probably someone who was
one of their
stranded.
partners.
Wow.
No. It's one of the, like, because the festival was a disaster.
I gotta watch this documentary.
It was a
This shit
disaster.
sounds wild as
Yo,
fuck.
it's
I'm watching
crazy.
this when I go
It's
home
crazy.
tonight.
Wow.
You know what I'm doing when I get home tonight? I'm rolling up
Wow.
a huge blunt like this.
What's
I'm
going
gonna sit
on,
down.
dude?
I'm gonna watch this documentary, man. This shit sounds wild as fuck. Cause I guess that's the reason why I've been seeing it all up and down my Facebook
Yeah,
timeline,
yeah.
everywhere. Jesus.
Like, you don't really realize how much of a scam it really was until you see this. You're like, whoa, this
Holy
is kind of
shit.
nuts. But, like, I don't
Oh, check it out, man.
I think the intention was for it to turn out well because, I mean, the guy ended up, like, frauding $25 million to invest in this thing. And even, like, the day of when it, like, all else looked like it was about to fail, he still pursued it.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, I think he truly did believe in it. I mean, he did, there's a lot of, like, shady shit he did, like, to
Well, his
get
problem
investors,
was-
and afterwards, like, he's still living comfortably while a lot of people, like,
I'll tell you where he
work for him
fucked up.
and shit get fucked up, but
I'll tell you where he fucked up. If you're gonna do something like that and you're gonna do it in a foreign country, get that government to fund that shit. Get that government to make sure to give you some money. The reason why OVO is successful every year is not because Drake's like, I'm gonna throw an OVO fest. It's because the fucking Canadian government throws the money
Yeah.
to make sure that this shit is successful.
Yeah.
Yo,
every
but they only did that
fucking
once,
year.
though.
No,
But do you know what
no,
was
it every year?
They've done it more
They
than
didn't do
once.
it every year.
I'm pretty sure they
No,
do
they
it every
didn't,
year.
bro.
I'm pretty sure
So
they
why
do.
he
remember
stopped-
when
maybe
he
that's why
actually
he
got the
stopped OVO
funding?
Fest.
He
When he,
decided to go
there's a
for
point where he
festival
actually
last
got
year.
the funding,
No, it didn't
and a
happen
point
last
where
year.
they stopped getting the funding.
OVO
And-
Fest didn't happen last year?
No, I went to the last one. It was the year before.
No, from what I remember, it didn't happen.
Okay.
He was
But the
doing
one before,
the Three Migos tour.
the one before is when Eminem came up, right?
No. I was at OVO Fest. There was no. He had Cardi B come out. He had
swear this
Migos
guy
come
brought-
out. He
I
had
swear
French
this guy brought
Montana come
Eminem up
out.
not too long
He had
ago.
Nelly come out. He had mad people come out.
Yeah.
But like Nelly was really the only one I was impressed with. Because at that time, not even at that time. At that time, I was still open to the new hip hop. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a lot more open to everything now, right? Like, I stopped being like a hater and like and 90s at the best. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at that time, I think I'd already come out of that. I think I was accepting of new music, but it was just seeing the Molson Amphitheater filled with all these people. And literally, Bad and Bougie came on, and these people were losing their minds, and everyone in that place was singing every word. And I'm just thinking, I actually cried.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. I was really
During
drunk.
Bad and Bougie? You must really like that song.
No, I cried because I was like, whoa, like, just a realization as someone who loves hip hop so much, right?
Yeah.
And like before media, I think I went to that before I even decided I wanted to do media more than music.
Okay.
So at that point, I'm still like a rapper, right? Like I am now, but I mean, like, that's what my soul's invested in. And it was just that realization of looking, it's like, yo, shit has changed. Like, people don't give a fuck what you say.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, you hone your craft for so long. Like, I spent 15 years working on being the best lyricist, you know what I mean? And then you look and it's like, people don't appreciate that.
Nah, they do, man.
I don't know. It was a saddening thing. But either way, the point I'm making is that was the last OVO Fest. I went to it.
Okay.
I honestly, to be honest, like I'm not hating, you know, but I wasn't that impressed.
No, I feel you.
Like,
but
all
just
the guests he brought out were like, you know, new people. Basically, this was right when Cardi B had dropped Bodak Yellow and it was just started to take off.
Okay,
He had her come out and do that, which was cool. You know what I mean?
Cardi.
Migos came out, did Bad and Bougie, which was cool. You know, he had French Montana come out do Unforgettable, which I liked that record a lot. So I was like, yo, that was cool. But when he had Nelly come out, that's when it was really like, yo, that's cool. But I'm like, I don't know. It was just.
I've never caught Nelly live. I wouldn't mind catching
Nelly
live.
There was no Eminem.
I'm pretty sure you brought
He came
Eminem
up
up here
at one of them.
Yeah. He
But he's not even allowed in Toronto.
No, he got Eminem up here.
One of the earlier ones he did, he was here.
He got Eminem in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
According to this, though, in 2014 they did receive money.
Yeah.
2015 they didn't. There was a big hoopla of them getting money.
Yeah.
But prior to that, they weren't getting it.
Well, I mean, the government's getting a return on their fucking investment, though. So
and it adds
give them
tourism
money,
dollars in the city, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The hotels, the restaurants, they're getting a return on their investment.
Would OVO Fest be as successful if it didn't happen on Caravana weekend?
No.
A season, a time when most celebrities are in the city anyways.
It would be a completely different product.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize
Completely
that.
different product.
It's a smart move to do that. That's what all celebrities
No,
are
it
anyways.
is absolutely smart, but from somebody who, the older I get, the more I really respect Caravana, the more I want to see hip-hop, like, away from it. You know what I mean? It's like, all I want to see that weekend is soca. I don't even really want to see reggae that week. Just give me some soca. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see some fets. I just want to see some yard stuff. Not even yard. I just want to see some Trini stuff. You know what I mean? Some island stuff. I don't really want to see hip hop during Caravana weekend. But I get what Drake's doing, and like you said, it makes absolute sense because everybody and their mom is here, and it's always been that way. Like this is our biggest party of the year, so you might as well throw your shit that
I'm
weekend.
gonna ask you guys a really dumb question.
Okay. No dumb questions.
What is the difference really between soca and reggae?
Tempo, drum, you know what I mean? Upbeat.
What they choose to sing about.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Soca, a lot of it is coded, so it'll seem like a lot of it's like sex, or a lot of it's just talking about Carnival Day, a lot about fetting. You know what I mean?
Like funk to soul.
No. Yeah. You can kind of say that. But a lot of the songs are, you know, they're about fetting, they're about Carnival Day, they're about, you know what I'm saying, just having a good time, or it's coded shit.
Yeah.
So they'll make it seem like, okay, we're doing this, but it's coded, the message is really this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas reggae, it's a little bit more direct.
Because I'm not like, I like reggae, but I'm not like into it.
Okay.
Right?
Soca's way more upbeat though. For the most part, like Soca's always.
But it's like, the way I would explain it is like someone who doesn't really listen to hip hop, right? Like we have all these subgenres. We have trap, we have boom bap, we have, you know what I mean?
Right.
We understand it, but like my parents wouldn't understand.
I'm pretty sure soca predates reggae.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Because it comes
like,
from.
They sound like, to me when I hear them, like I can't really tell the difference. I think they're different sides of the same
So there's
idea of music.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the main four musics from the island would be ska, calypso, soca, and reggae, right?
And other forms.
And then you have you have the more like Latin forms of
Hip-hop?
music or
yeah,
whatnot.
the other
Reggaeton, and you got
Hip hop's from Jamaica, technically.
but I'm talking,
it's a mix of shit.
Yeah.
Technically.
But right now, soca's probably the most popular in the islands. From what I know, like in Jamaica, like they're bumping soca.
Well, the only reason
hard.
I asked too is because you were like, I don't want to hear reggae. I just want to hear soca. So I was like,
Yeah. Different vibe, whole other vibe. You know what I mean? Like soca. Let me put it this way.
I'm not really well versed in either, right? I would say I'm
Yeah.
better versed in reggae, a little bit of dancehall, but I don't really know anything about soca music.
I've
but
been to.
I've been to Caravana, stuff like that, but
So if I've been to a hip hop party and been to like soca parties, I don't ever feel that my life is in any type of danger at a soca party.
Yeah.
If I go to hip hop parties though, you know what I'm saying? It could be the same venue and be like, fuck, shit's shady right now.
Yeah.
You go to a soca party and like, yo, everyone's rocking white, everyone's dancing, everyone's sweating, everyone's there
what about
to
a
feel
reggae
that
party
actual
versus soca
energy.
party?
I feel safer at a soca party
Okay.
than I would at a reggae party.
But
But, you know,
reggae or dancehall?
dance, I'll feel safer at a soca than I would at a dance hall party. At a reggae
Okay,
party though,
yeah.
you're talking old school reggae? Nah, I feel like the older crowd is a little bit more mature.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They're skanking a little bit more. You know, they're rocking the Wallies, they're rocking the
Well,
Clarks.
and the
they're a
old
little bit
school
more
reggae
old
is
school,
like-
burning the ting and
It is like
relax,
it's kind of like
chill.
what you said, like ska.
Yeah.
Kind of right. But yeah, the old school
Dance
reggae,
hall's a little
I feel
different.
like is a lot more like it's a lot more about
Conscious.
something too. Like I wouldn't expect people going to a Peter Tosh show even in the 70s
Right.
to be like
More
shooting you up in
conscious,
the
live
crowd.
instrumentation.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like just the idea of what the music's about isn't
Oh,
really that vibe.
when would you say it switched? Like probably late 80s, early 90s was the
hip-hop-
switch when
hip-hop switched.
reggae, switched from old school to more dance hall style it is now?
Do you think the powers that be, through record labels and influence and like power obviously, caused both reggae and hip hop to really take a negative direction?
Nah.
Reggae never took a negative direction. Dancehall might have, but dancehall was always rock.
Right.
Yeah.
Reggae's never went into a
Right,
negative
right.
Okay.
direction.
So you still have
However, it's always been positive
Yeah.
music, and that's some people
uplifting or
some people
spiritual.
could debate the anti-homosexual sentiment, but it's not 90% of the music. It's probably like 2%, 10%. But it's not a present. It's not like I'm listening because it's anti-gay music.
Right.
No, yeah.
No.
Right.
But other than that, it's mostly positive.
Right.
Dancehall is different. Dancehall talks about reality and
More sex
in a
and-
slack way.
Mm.
So
But even with it, if you listen, like they're not even allowed to really cuss on the records. Like you get in
they
trouble.
get censored, and I know they don't play shit on the radio.
Right. They're not allowed to cuss live in
yeah.
like in Jamaica, you can't cuss on stage. You can't be
Really?
performing your music. No,
Wow.
they don't allow that, bro.
That's crazy.
They do not like that at all over there. They'll
Wow.
fine you for that, you know what I mean? So you gotta be careful your songs and what you say on stage.
Yeah, I
over
don't
there
want
and
the
whatnot.
Jamaican police coming at me.
Yeah, no, man, they got AK-47s.
Yeah, shit's wild.
They're a gang, man.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I'm saying? Like,
People think the LAPD is a gang, and I'm fucking with the Jamaican
Yeah.
police, fam.
pretty much, I mean, all police forms in a sense are a gang.
They are,
Because you
really.
mess with one, you know what I mean? You mess with one, and the other officers see they're gonna rough you up. They're gonna stomp your ass out before they throw you in the bullpen. You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting fact I just want to bring up before we move on.
Yeah.
Really, just because we're talking about gangs. But did you know that the reason why the Italian mafias, they called themselves La Cosa Nostra? Because that means it's my thing. Like,
Yeah, it's our thing. It's our thing,
And the reason was
this
because
thing of ours.
they never actually wanted to call it anything. So
Yeah.
La Cosa Nostra wasn't even like an actual title. That
Yeah.
was just what they called it.
They call it this
Yeah,
thing of
Because
ours.
they knew once you put a name on something, then you can become a target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Hell's Angels or any
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
things. But if there's no name to it, then it's kind of like this mystique, this
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
invisible kind of entity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. How can you give a name to something that doesn't actually exist or
Yeah.
something that's not supposed to
Yeah.
exist? What's really cool though with that is, during World War II, they were paid to protect the docks in New York.
Yeah? I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
Bro, the FBI went to them and
I wouldn't
whoever
be
it was and
surprised.
said, listen, man, you guys already control these things. You guys are bringing in whatever. We need to pay you guys
Well,
to make sure
To the
people
very,
are not coming
To the
in.
very roots of Western civilization,
Yeah.
if you look, gangsters have always worked for the government
Yeah,
in operative
Yeah.
ways that they need them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it be during the bootlegging era, whether it be like
Right.
during what you just said, whether it be the cocaine era, you know what I mean? Freeway Ricky Ross, the CIA bringing the cocaine on the planes and selling it, distributing it as crack through the ghetto.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like they
Absolutely.
always take people,
Absolutely.
they
bro.
take gangsters and use them to their
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
You know what I
that's
mean?
like
Because
that's legit just history.
I mean, and if you look at, we're talking a lot about Jamaica, but if you look at Jamaica, you watch any Bob Marley documentary, they specifically go into that, the JLP, PNP, you know what I mean? And that's what you think, the Democrats versus Republicans is. Red versus blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all the same shit, you know what I mean? You go back to like
Liberal
the Civil
versus
War.
conservative.
Exactly.
Yeah, I never
It's
thought
all
about
the
that.
same
Liberal and
shit, man.
conservative, red and blue.
Yep.
I mean, even when you,
Democrats, Republicans.
absolutely. Even
Bloods
when you
and
think
Crips.
about it, these world leaders, they all fucking know each other, right?
Yeah,
So
they
these
know me.
beefs and these squabbles are just rich motherfuckers who their kids go to school with each other and they decide, hey man, I got this problem with you guys problem, we're gonna fight or whatever. You know
Now,
what I mean?
deeper question: do you think gangs
It's all
were
connected.
implemented into the hood?
Do I think no? I think
Well, a
gangs
lot
are
of-
gonna
a lot of
actually
Not gangs, but the Bloods and Crips.
Yeah, well,
specifically.
you've ever
Think
watched
about
that movie?
Think about the colors.
You ever watched the movie?
And like,
there's a movie about South Central
Mhm.
and how Bloods and Crips was formed.
Mhm.
And this is what I'm getting from the movie. The reason why these gangs even existed is because of how the cops and how outsiders were treating the residents of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was a middle class neighborhood. It wasn't no poor fucking ghetto
Right.
ass shit.
They were getting
became
beat up,
that.
they were getting chased in
Yeah,
Compton.
so they formed gangs
Right.
to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then it became what it
What it
yeah,
is.
if you watch I forgot the name of the documentary.
Yeah.
I'm
But I know what you're talking about. So when
it lays out everything.
Yeah.
yes, because there was a time. What happened was, I think it was the 40s when there was a mass influx of black people from the South who went to California
Yeah.
post World War
And they were
II.
segregated into South Central. They weren't allowed
Right.
to live in different parts of
Right.
LA.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was, some of the person went, they were getting chased home by a lot of the white kids. They were getting beat up and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they started forming gangs. This is exactly how MS-13 started as well. MS-13 is the exact same fucking thing. These Latino kids were getting their asses whooped. They were into heavy metal in, I think, Lincoln Park, and they decided, hey man, let's click up, let's form our own gang, which is why MS-13 throws out the devil horns and whatnot. But with Bloods and Crips, or specifically Crips, it was more so like, they were getting their asses whooped, so a couple dudes started forming.
Well, kind of like
whatever.
the Bronx gangs as well.
But-
Like it was.
Yeah, but also what happened with the Crips, in LA gangs is they come out of Black Panthers as well.
Yeah,
because when all of a sudden now they lock up the Black Panthers, the older brothers,
See,
the
this is
uncles, the
what I'm
fathers,
saying, 'cause
there's a cachet of
The
guns.
FBI infiltrated the Black Panthers.
Right. Yeah.
And the first East Coast West Coast beef that's ever documented in media
Right.
is from the Black Panthers, and it was a beef that was infiltrated by the FBI, created by the FBI, and promoted through media.
Right.
So it was this conscribed thing, right? Same thing that happens with the East and West beef.
So I can get
Tupac
what you're
and Biggie
saying.
Smalls.
I can get what you're saying. You're
I
talking.
think the
It's
last
the
round to it
exact same
afterwards.
thing. But the thing I'm saying is, if the Black Panthers can be infiltrated, what makes you think that they don't have intel and people
Yeah,
working
other
than
to
those.
penetrate both markets
Yeah.
to
What you're-
create
What you're
Yeah,
talking.
a
Yeah.
force
Yeah.
of competition, enemies?
Of course.
What you're referring to is called COINTELPRO.
Okay.
Co-intelligence. So yes, these groups have been infiltrated. It was written, there's FBI files specifically from, I think like a month before Dr. Martin Luther King was murdered,
Yeah.
where J. Edgar Hoover said, we have to fear, America basically, the FBI is fearing the rise of Messianic black men. Specifically, they're looking at Martin Luther King, but they said basically based on his infidelities, he wouldn't be it. The one they really feared was Malcolm X.
Yeah.
They feared the shit out of Malcolm X,
Oh,
and
yeah.
another one they feared was Stokely Carmichael. They feared the
Okay.
shit out of him too, because
Yeah.
he was, to be honest with you, he was almost as powerful as Malcolm X. He might not have been as well known at the time,
Yeah.
but if you go back and look at something, he's the guy who invented like the Black Power, symbol
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Okay.
Stokely Carmichael was really, he was extremely well educated, and he was about this shit. So he was there, but they feared these guys a lot. But coincidentally, a month after these papers were written, Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered, right?
Well, the
month to the
American
day
government
those
killed
papers were-
Martin Luther
absolutely.
King. They've already
Absolutely.
admitted to it, and they've had to
So-
pay MLK's estate money.
Yeah.
And
So COINTELPRO definitely exists. Did they infiltrate the Bloods and Crips? Maybe to
Yeah,
a
it's
certain
possible.
extent. But the thing with Bloods and Crips is that people don't understand specifically is more so they were a fallout of the Black Panthers, and they were like the teenagers who, at the time that they would have went into the Panthers, because the Panthers weren't there, they kind of formed their own thing.
Yeah.
And just the name the Crips came about completely by mistake, because this dude was walking with a fucking cane,
Which-
robbed a store, and the Korean store owner was like, the Crips, the Crips,
The
trying to say
name-
the cripples. And that's how they
the
got their
name
fucking
itself
name.
isn't necessarily so important.
Yeah.
But the ideology to me, right, is if you dissolve something,
Yeah.
you're gonna make sure you're there to control it. It's like
course,
the same
of
way
course,
when
of course.
America
I feel
through
you.
the CIA goes to
Yeah.
these countries and assassinates their leaders, then the people they have working on the ground
No, I feel you.
infiltrate the system to put
Absolutely.
somebody
Yeah.
in their democratic.
If you want more
Empower.
information on this, though, read Monster by Seneca Shakur
But-
and Cody Scott. That's a great book for anybody to read.
Yeah.
It goes into the history of Bloods and Crips in Los Angeles,
But
and
this is
it
the
kind of
po-
breaks down.
This is the point I want to make though as well. Is sure I'm not denying all that history is statistically factual. What I'm saying is, if something's done and you're not aware of it,
Yeah.
then how do you add it to the books?
No, I feel
Yeah.
you, I
Now
feel
it's
you, I
like
feel
the
you.
way Freeway Ricky Ross. He
Yeah.
would still be sitting in prison right now and have no idea he was a pawn to the CIA if Gary Webb never did the research for the San Jose Mercury News and published the Dark Alliance
Right.
article in
Yeah.
that book.
Right.
Which then he was later blackballed, even though he
Yeah.
won a Pulitzer Prize for his writing,
Right.
and then died from
Yeah,
a
he's
suicide
dead,
with
right?
2
Yeah.
gunshot wounds to the head.
How the hell do you
How about you
shoot
shoot
yourself
yourself twice in the
Yeah.
head? But either way, so
Your finger's still twitching after you die, so your nerves are still.
but there's an example of he would be sitting in prison as one the
Yeah.
biggest drug kingpin
Well, he
of all
was
time.
working with the government.
But he had no idea
Yeah,
he
he
was
didn't know he
working
was
with
working
the
with the
government.
government,
He
yeah.
was absolutely
Because there's
oblivious to
undies,
it.
undies and all
Yeah.
this
So
other
if you
shit.
have undercover intel
Yeah, yeah.
who have influence,
Because Bloods and Crips was
they can
corrupted.
direct things to happen a
Bloods and
certain way.
Crips, Bloods,
Yeah.
Bloods and Crips never was intended to be the way it became.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it just happened. The Bloods only
I
happened
think the
because.
And the other
documentary
reason
here
I asked
is
too,
called The Made in America, from what I remember.
the other reason I asked too
Because
is
of
because,
breakdown of what
like, I
happened.
personally believe there was, because that's where a lot of the the Black Panthers and stuff, black activist groups really rooted in like Oakland and LA,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of them, that's really where they kind of came from. So the influence is strong there, and you have to look at like places like LA and stuff. They're not like New York. Like it's not a melting pot metropolitan. It's a
Yeah.
metropolitan, but it's not like a, you know what I mean? Like we were talking before about like how projects, right? It would be 4 buildings, and you have enough people in there that
They're a
could
bit more
that
segregated.
could populate a whole town,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like the cage dog mentality.
Yeah.
People, you know, LA is a lot more spread out.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it was suburban and stuff.
And it wasn't
but
made-
they were still a
segregated.
threat. So do you not like me personally? I think there was a target to LA. Dissolve the Black Panthers, dissolve these activist groups, and have them fighting each other.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean,
I think they're
you're not
infiltrated.
wrong.
In the same way, like dudes like Trey D and a lot of OGs from LA, they talk about with the first time they seen like assault weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said their OGs or dudes they knew
Yeah.
that they worked with in the streets literally found boxes of these things out by the train
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah,
Fully
same
loaded,
story.
That's
all the
happening in
Same
Chicago
ammunition.
right
story
now.
as here in Chicago. Same
That's
thing in
happening in
Jamaica.
Chicago right now.
Jamaica
Who's
doesn't
just
make,
leaving
Yeah, so you know
ammunition
what?
on the side
Jamaica
of the
doesn't have
fucking
fucking
railroad?
manufacturing
Yeah,
plant.
no, you're absolutely right.
Somebody's
You are not
putting
wrong
this
with what
here
you're saying.
and allowing something will come out of this.
And you gotta
Dirty
corrupt the young,
politics.
right? You start with the young.
Exactly. And who's gonna be
Politics.
walking the train tracks? It's like the fucking scene in what movie
Yeah.
is it? Is it
Boys
Menace
in the
Society,
Hood?
Boys in the Hood? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You walk by the train tracks or whatever, the alley, you see a dead body. Like, it's kids that are walking around these areas generally.
Right.
You know, when you're a kid,
Right.
you go and explore. Like, I
Yeah.
used to go in the most fucked up places when I was a kid. When I look back now, I'm like, I shouldn't have been in there. Like,
Yeah.
abandoned buildings and crackheads and shit.
Yeah.
You're just exploring and
You
like,
had a wild
you know what I
childhood.
mean?
Yeah.
But like,
Wait, y'all got
That's what
abandoned
kids
buildings
do.
of crackheads in Burlington?
Bradford.
Bradford. I keep getting confused.
But,
God damn it, you guys
But
got.
no, it's just an example. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I
Like,
feel you, I feel
kids,
you.
They explore and shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Do stuff you're not
so
supposed
if
to do when we're not.
that, you know what I mean? They find guns. Like either way,
No, I feel you
someone's
because you can
dropping guns
definitely
there.
see.
And if you're gonna do all this, like, there's a more conscribed plan, in my
Yeah.
opinion, than just like
Yeah.
Wild West. Because
No,
what
I
if these
feel you.
guys pick these guns up and decide to shoot up the Fed?
Yep.
Oh, the Federal Reserve. Let's go take money. We have AKs.
good luck with that.
Nah, but instead they're shooting each other.
Good luck with that. But no, I feel exactly what you're saying. And again, you can see in just watching popular culture, just watching movies from the 70s to the 80s, the change in going from a 38 to all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, revolvers, broken down revolvers. All of a sudden in the 80s, moving towards the 90s, they got brand new 9mm. Yeah, they got Uzis, they got submachine guns, they got
Yeah.
AKs, they had arsenals. You know what I'm saying? And that came with drugs, that came with money, you know, and I guess that came with people dropping off weapons in the hood. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's horrible. It's fucked up. You're not wrong with what you're saying. So I guess to what you're saying as far as could have anybody infiltrated these games when they started? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
for
thought
sure,
you
man.
meant
For sure.
they created them from the ground.
No, it's like the
Different
same
story.
way.
No, they didn't create
it's the
no, but
same
you know what I'm
way
saying? They
Lord
saw an
Jamar
opportunity.
says he doesn't support Black Lives Matter because he says that's not our movement when
Yeah,
he says it.
Right.
He
That's been
says
infiltrated
because
itself.
well, that's what he said. He said
Yeah.
it was started corporately.
Mm.
And like I don't know, I'm not well versed on it, so that's why I'm paraphrasing him. Like I'm not saying this because I don't need people coming in the comments being like,
Right.
"You're dumb." But he's someone who's really well educated on a lot of this stuff, right? Especially anything
Right.
pro-black. Like that's like his expertise. You know what I mean? So for him to say something that boldly
Right.
makes me look and be like, okay, well maybe this is. So if that's the case where you have the government and
Yeah.
corporate entities infiltrating the community to
Right,
the
right.
degree where they want to control the movement, then it's very easy that they fucking, you
Yeah.
know, fucking undercut. And they proved to do it with the Black Panthers
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel
less
you.
than a decade prior. So, I mean,
I feel you.
know.
I just don't think it, like Mike was saying,
if
I
they
don't think
fear
they did it at the
rise
start.
in the power of the Black community,
Right.
then they're
Then
not
they
going to
squash it.
dissolve its power structure
Yeah.
without enforcing its own.
Of course,
They're not going to let
of
it be the
course.
Wild Wild West and a
They
bunch
do
of
that in
people who
Africa
are
when-
trigger happy finding rifles on the side of the train tracks go out and start shooting the white
When
people
they did
up.
their-
Like, no,
they
they're going to
did-
control what the fuck they do. It's
Yeah,
like
once
when
they
invade
stopped
countries.
colonization in Africa, they put in their puppets.
Yeah.
And if anybody didn't abide by their rules, they got rid of them.
Yeah,
And they put another puppet.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's been going
That's why
on from
Fidel
now till
Castro was
now.
a target for so
Yeah.
many years for the American government.
Yeah,
couldn't
because he
be
wasn't a
bought.
puppet.
Man, you know they tried to kill that guy 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Almost
How do you try to kill
1,000
somebody
times.
1,000 times and fail?
Man, they tried
That's
with
fucked up.
everything from
That shows the
facial
loyalty
creams
his
to
people
whatever.
had.
Yeah,
That
straight
shows
up.
the loyalty his people had.
Yeah, they
That's
would
why
send
when people
female
look at him
spies.
like he's a devil. I'm like, all right, look, communism didn't work because you had literally 85% of the rest of the globe who's controlled by a central banking system
Yeah.
fighting against it. They didn't want it to work.
Yeah.
So you got all these trade embargoes. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a whole lot you could do. Like Cuba's not very rich
Yeah,
on
no,
resources.
the moment a country says, hey, we might go communist, you know, like the rest of the world turns their back on them except for like 4 other nations,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of
and those nations get smaller
shit.
and smaller by the year.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what it is, right? Like, and I don't know. I just
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. I do think that the government, for sure, infiltrated them. At the start, though, not so much, because at the start, it was more of a youth movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
kids who wanted to be a part of something, and because the Black Panthers are no longer there, it's like, okay, you know, we need to start
we do
this
this.
thing of
But
ours,
it's like what
right?
you said, when it started, it's not like it was Bloods versus Crips. It wasn't gang
Right.
territory.
No, when it
a
started, it was
different
Crips versus Crips. When it started, there were no Bloods. It was they were all wearing blue bandanas until one particular group had beef with the rest of the groups and said, you know what, fuck it, we're going out and getting a red bandana. We're starting our own thing, this thing of ours.
And
So
something
it's
with
natural.
OGs disappearing.
Yep.
Going to jail. I think was it when Tookie went to jail?
Tookie
That
went to
really
jail.
changed a
Yeah,
lot
he
of
was
shit too.
Tookie.
Yeah.
Who else? And same thing with you know Cody Scott. There's a few other dudes who went to jail who were influential at the time and had.
See, like,
you know,
could Tookie Williams be the Rick Ross of the gangs?
in what sense? What do you mean? Because
Like
Rick Ross
maybe
is
he never knew that he was a pawn in a much bigger
Yeah, he
scheme.
probably
Maybe,
did. Probably
yes.
And he
did.
was the fall guy because nobody like Gary Webb found out information and wrote an
well,
article about it.
from even what I understand with Tookie was one dude.
That's where Ross would be right now.
Yeah.
From what I understand, like I could be wrong, but there was one dude who kind of had his own gang, who brought him and Tookie's gang together.
Yeah.
But I think that dude was murdered, and like Tookie really looked up to that dude. Like that dude was like the coolest dude out there. You know what I mean? He was uniting people, and when he got killed, it kind of started fucking shit up. I could be completely wrong with that, because LA street culture is, you know, again, it is what it is. So for me, I'd have to go back and, you know, do my research. Not there, so not sure how 100% accurate their research is. But that's why I say, you know, if especially the people in Toronto
There's
coming up,
always
these
a
young
fall
dudes.
guy. There's always a fall guy.
No, there's always a fall guy. But what I say, you know, and this book saved my life, because I read it. My cousin, who, again, he claimed Crip, he was in jail. And while he was in jail, 2 books that were in my closet that he owned, that he took in completely different how I took in, were, again, Monster Cody Scott
Yeah.
and Malcolm X. You know what I mean? And those books opened my mind and changed my mind completely to how these streets work and what, you know, you can get caught up and involved in. So anybody who does want to gangbang, if you would like to know the history of it and what you're getting involved in, I definitely recommend you start with Monster. Go get this book by Cody Scott and read that shit front to back, because it was so descriptive, and it started his grade 8 graduation.
Personally, I think
And that's
anyone who
okay.
really wants to gangbang, just get into porn.
But it ain't like
They
that
keep
though.
you off in the streets, too.
It's not like that though, because to be honest with you, let me tell you how easy it is to get caught up in a gang. You grow up with
No,
a
it's
group of
easy,
10
it's
guys.
easy.
You guys all of a sudden now we're in junior high school.
Yeah.
You're the same 10 fucking friends. one guy fucks up one of your boys, and you decide, you know what, we're not gonna let that slide.
Yeah.
So you go and retaliate. Now you're a gang. If you get arrested for that assault, they're gonna say, "Oh, you guys are a gang." You might all live on one block and be like, "Yeah, we're the Gem Shop Boys, or whatever." And you're just claiming your street.
Yeah,
but
or
now
your
you
park
are a
or
gang.
whatever.
You're not a baseball team. You're not a chess club. They're gonna look at you like you're a fucking gang, and they're gonna apply whatever to you. The more saying whatever you get involved in.
You want to know
so
something crazy?
It is what it is.
The other thing is too, though.
There are good things that come from
the
gangs.
term gang, like nowadays, a lot of people do rep gang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
people are saying gang, and they've never even
I
seen
hear
a
the
gang in
word
their
gang
life.
more.
That's how you know a
than ever before in my life.
gangs
But
are
what about a
trendy.
get along gang, bro? A
Well,
gang
Get
doesn't have
along
to be
gang.
violent,
Exactly.
man.
Doesn't have to be
No,
violent at all.
but this is what I was gonna say actually, because in Brantford, where I grew up, right, we didn't have gangs. I mean, some people. I told you about. I went
Yeah.
to high school with Cop Killer.
Some spots don't even have gangs. They
He
just have
claimed he was
blocks.
a blood, and we called him
Yeah.
Cop Killer behind his back. But either way, like that's how, like, you know what I mean. To us,
Yeah.
it's like that shit is not real here. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, but yet, like, we had a thing called 519 crew, and our crew, we had people who rep 519 crew who didn't even know each other.
Right.
But it's because our homie Logan died. And he repped 519, our area code, so hard.
Right.
And that's before, like, repping your area code was that cool.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
Now-
so, like,
yeah.
all these people, like, I can name at least probably 100 people from Brantford who rep
519
gang. And it was to the point where, like, I used to tag it in bathrooms and in high school and shit.
Right.
Like, I literally, when I've gotten in trouble by principals, like, them interrogating me, they would ask me, like, yo, what's up with 519 gang? Like, they're like,
Exactly.
authority thought this
You
shit
guys
was actually a
nothing.
gang. Like,
Exactly.
519 crew to us is like, that's just us. Like, that's who we are.
And that's how easy
We don't even
it
all know each
starts.
other.
That's how easy
You know
it
what I mean?
starts.
But-
You just happen to be born on a fucking block.
It
And
was actually by authority looked at like people, like they thought it was a gang.
That's how it starts, bro. And all of a sudden now you get labeled with it, and you're getting in shit. You're getting beat up by whatever. You're getting harassed by people, whatever. Eventually you're just gonna be like, fuck it, I'm doing what I gotta do because I'm gonna get fucked with even if I don't do it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or all right, I'm getting my ass whooped every day by these guys over here. I might as well walk home with these guys over
Yeah, yeah.
here. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what? Okay, this dude, he's our boy. We had no idea he was selling coke, but now you're gonna say that we're co-conspirators or we're up on whatever. You know.
Yeah.
It is what it is. A lot of people don't know this shit. Again,
Well,
I'm
everyone
from
wants to roll
Malvern.
with a pack, especially when there's when it's a dangerous environment, right?
But
But
what-
the same way, if I got accused for fucking murder
Yeah.
and I didn't do shit and I ended up in prison, like I'm probably gonna be hanging out with some Aryan motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what
Depending
the
on
prisons
which
are like in
prison system you
Canada,
go to,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
like,
Well,
especially some.
they got areas in Canadian.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's either like
Oh, yeah.
I'm not Edward Norton in fucking whatever movie or
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean, where he
American
like
History X.
stands on his own. Like I ain't that.
Yeah.
I got accused for a murder I ain't even do. Like I ain't built for that. You know what I mean? So what am I gonna do?
Yo, this guy just said if he goes to jail, he's joining the AB, y'all.
No, I did not. But I'm saying
Well,
like
you gotta
real.
look over your best interest.
I'm just,
Yo, I
I'm
feel
just
you.
saying, if
You gotta
people-
survive.
Exactly, you gotta survive, and I
make
think
sure
that's
you
what a
see
lot of
tomorrow.
ganghood is, right? Like
Nah,
it's
I
just
feel
you
you.
have to survive in your environment, and it just goes with what makes sense.
Listen, I know a lot of people who got caught up in my neighborhood, and they wound up getting arrested when the cops came through and busted everybody in Galloway and busted everybody in Malvern and tried to throw these gangsterism RICO charges, because they don't call them RICO here in Canada, they call it gangsterism and all types of shit.
Gangsterism?
Yeah, they try to say basically
Oh.
it's like racketeering or whatever. So all types of shit, bro. It's crazy.
That's why
crazy.
that's what's scandalous in the song Toronto.
Right. So it's crazy when that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
was
can't
about
remember how he says it, but like they
22.
passed a new law called gangster or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I was about 22 when it happened, and bro, like they locked up everybody in my neighborhood, and they locked up everybody in Galloway. You know what I mean? These guys were beefing, these guys were warring, guys were getting fucking shot left, right, and center. Guys I knew were getting murdered or getting popped. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I had guys pull up to me in the cars and be like, "Yo, you want to live today? Get your ass back in the mall." I'm like, word, all right. You know what I'm saying? An hour later, bang, 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 whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so it was what it was. It's just. It's nothing to really glorify, but it is so easy to get caught up and become a victim
Yeah.
without even trying to get caught up and be a victim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just based on where you live, who your friends are, certain circumstances. Next thing you know, you're fucking down Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And you're like, fuck, how'd I fucking get here? You know? And it's just, it's circumstantial. So you have to be careful. If you do want to go that route, again, be careful because there's a lot of negativity. Now, there is some good shit that could happen. Let's say you do form a gang and you realize one of your members ain't suited out for the street life. But you guys decide, hey, you know what? We all are. let's pull our fucking money and send him to school to be our lawyer.
Or let him be
That's
our lead
doctor,
rapper.
whatever. You understand what I'm
Like
saying?
a lot of
That's
the
what's
rappers
happening
Are
in
gangs
these
still
days.
loyal like that nowadays?
Some are.
though?
Again, we're
I feel
thinking
like that was more likely in like
when you're thinking like
70s and 80s.
yes and no. Stop thinking so much the gang and start thinking more block because that's more what gangs
Yeah,
are
yeah.
nowadays. More like my block, my hood, right? And those are the binds. And you do have some gangs that are other things. Yeah, some of them, but some of them are, man. Some of them will finance this dude to be the lawyer that's gonna get them out of prison. This dude he's the doctor, whatever. You know what I mean?
That's like mob shit.
They finance, oh, you know what? There's a bunch of kids on the street who, you know, they play baseball, they need a sponsor. They got this sponsor, but you know, we're gonna give them a couple $1,000 to go get new uniform, whatever. So there is some good shit that could happen out of it.
Yeah.
There was some negative. It's all how it's really applied. There are good gangs, there are bad gangs. You know what I mean? Oftentimes, though, when you become a gang because of financial situations or violent situations and to protect yourself or whatever, you're gonna kind of go down left as opposed to the right road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just
Because
it
you
is
need
what it
money
is.
to fund.
Exactly. You
whatever
need
you're
money to fund, you need to
Like
protect
even the
yourself.
Black Panthers, though, a
Car
great
gangs,
of an
though.
organization they were,
Yeah.
they got to a point where they had to start really doing crime to fund their
Because
programs.
who's gonna
and stuff they're
fund
doing.
that? Who's gonna fund these guys?
Your
make them
public
get out of
enemy
that
number
shit?
one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The gangs in Los Angeles,
It's
though.
literally the same thing the CIA did bringing in the coke.
Yeah.
The government wouldn't support
They
their
need guns.
war.
Yeah.
You won't support the Nicaraguan war? All right, fine.
Yeah, you won't support the
We'll sell
guys fighting
drugs
the
and do-
communists down in Nicaragua, so we'll fucking sell drugs, then we'll bring
And
the
we'll
guns
do it.
down. But we can't have it on paper because we can't be affiliated
Exactly.
because again,
So we
gang
use-
ties, right?
So,
we can't be affiliated with
I
these
mean,
guys, but again, and that was democracy
If
versus
the
communism.
American government is partaking
Yeah.
in this, then best believe people, the lower on the totem pole
Yeah.
you get of capitalism,
Yeah.
the more you're going to be involved in that
Man, that
kind
shit
of
was so fucked up though because you had, you know, they were taking their coke and they were bringing it to a fucking communist country and loading up. So eventually everybody was involved. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Which is again, that's what you find out too. Sometimes when you go into gangs, especially with drugs, like oh shit, this guy's buying drugs from this person. Whatever. So it's weird, man. Gangs is it's something that like it's a culture in its own,
The
and I
culture,
can't
yeah.
even. Like,
They are.
That's what I said.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like what
Cops are
Tupac
gangs.
said the one time the LAPD officer said to him, like, look, we are the biggest gang in the United
Fuck
States
yeah.
of America.
Fuck
Yeah.
yes. And you can't fuck with them.
Yeah.
That's why when one cop is killed, you see police officers from all over North America going to that funeral,
Yeah.
right? No, that's what it is. You know what it is, man.
Yeah.
You know, but it is what it is, man. That's culture, that's life, you know, and people naturally gravitate towards people their own age or people from their own neighborhood or people with common interests.
Or people
You know?
they think are cool.
Exactly.
Basically.
You know what I mean? It's just a matter of what you get involved with after that.
Yeah.
You know, and unless you're a team, you could technically be called a fucking gang. And even if you are a team, you could be called a gang. So
Yeah.
it's a term that can be so loosely applied and
Like
just-
terrorist.
yeah, and there's a lot of politics that are involved with it.
Well,
you
in
know,
gangs,
it is
technically,
what
there
it is,
used to
man.
be things like the Black Panthers and stuff.
Right.
They actually
Well,
were
the
groups
first gangs in Los Angeles were Mexican car gangs.
Yeah.
That's how they started. Like
That's
they
what-
were Mexican car gangs.
They're positive things for the most part. Most
Yeah.
gangs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's basically since like NWA, where really gang culture has become this very like.
No, you touched on it earlier. It was
I mean,
since,
on
it
a
was since
commercial
cocaine was
level,
brought
yeah,
in.
Well,
but
what I'm saying is gang cult. Like even a lot of people who were around back then, right?
you would have to go to the 70s with it.
They really said that like
Yeah.
even people in
Yeah,
LA
it was small
who were
beats.
around at
It was
that
small
time
beats.
said there was gangs, but I mean
Yeah.
like
Right.
it wasn't like
It
after
didn't
like
get full blown
after gang
right,
culture
right,
became
right,
mainstream,
right.
there was
Yeah.
gangs everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And then every
But
other
it started-
state
it always
followed.
starts from
Canada
somewhere,
followed.
right?
Well, it
It's
wasn't
like
so much that
Snoop
it
Dogg, he says
became
he goes to-
mainstream.
He was in Tokyo and saw
Yeah.
Crips.
It wasn't so much that it became mainstream. Again, Ice Cube has a song that perfectly explains it. It's called Summer Vacation. It wasn't mainstream anything. It was crack cocaine.
Well,
Now
yeah.
you
Coke-
have
crack
money.
cocaine was the
Yeah.
explosion.
Yes, now you've got money.
But
now you could afford weapons.
crack
now you
cocaine
can afford
still
shit.
didn't necessarily bring this influence of gangs being cool.
Obviously not, but
Like it became violent at that point, but I think once it became mainstream, that's when
I
it really
get what you're
because
saying.
now it's not just about drug territory and stuff. It's like, yo, this guy reps this.
Right,
you know
right,
what I
right.
mean? Like, it's all like, it's a bunch of fucking people who don't really understand gang
they're
culture because they're not
synonymous.
from it,
Yeah.
creating their own gang culture in a
If
lot
you-
of different places.
Yeah.
If you watch the rise of gang culture, the rise of crack cocaine, and the rise of
It's
hip
all
hop in the
kinda
black
together,
communities,
it's the same.
they're all synonymous.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
more money the drug dealer made off of selling crack cocaine, the flashier the rappers started to look,
Yeah.
the more gangs started coming up because they want to rob this dude and they want to get what he has. So these three things are like the trifecta,
Yeah, yeah.
and they just kind of pushed each other to the extremes.
One came before the other one, but they all kind of assisted each
Right,
other.
right. Yeah.
But the thing
Absolutely.
is,
The rise of the crack kingpin gave rise to gangs.
the rise of the crack kingpin brought a different kind of gang, though. You brought individual gangs. Like you
It
had
brought
like
automatic
you had the
weapons.
Supreme Team. You had like everyone wasn't trying to rep Blood or Crip or some
then even-
synonym
but-
like
but
some
you even gotta go
well-known
before
gangs
that.
everywhere.
That's East Coast.
They
West
weren't
Coast,
just
West
creating
Coast.
their own shit. Like
Right.
gangs, yeah, grew with crack culture.
Right.
But it was like gangs. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we're this, we're that. Like, it wasn't until really like NWA and like gangster rap music hit, went mainstream, that people in all these places start repping Blood and Crip and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You had gangs before, but they were like criminal
they-
organizations. they were like mafias.
What put
Like the
NWA in
Supreme
that
Team was like a
position?
mafia.
But people didn't
you know what I
start-
mean?
but
Like,
people didn't just start gang because Bloods and Crips because NWA fucking.
no,
Right.
but what I'm
Hold on,
saying
hold on,
is,
hold on, hold on.
NWA started
Well,
because
what?
he was selling
Well,
crack.
this is the
Yes.
thing. No. What I'm
But-
saying is, when people travel, when people have family in different places, things migrate.
That's
That's
exactly.
that's really how things go from city to city, state to state.
So if you listen,
Because New York didn't really get on Bloods and Crips until when did New York really get on Bloods and Crips?
man, not until around 2000ish, late
You know what I
90s,
mean? So
mid
think about
90s,
it.
late 90s.
NWA,
They're
from the
far
time
behind.
they blew
because
up,
they probably still
but
have
listen,
remnants of their own.
But I'm
gangs.
saying though, from NWA blowing up, why did it take so long for New York to get on
'Cause they
Bloods
had
and
their own
Crips?
I
thing.
don't know. I'm pretty sure there's people.
No,
No, they've had.
There's
Alright.
New
But
York
what I'm
rappers
saying-
and stuff
but
who
what
have
I'm
gone
saying
on
is-
record
Again,
saying,
if you want to know the
If
If you
facts,
look at the time
earlier.
frame, from that time to when it became prominent in New York, New York wasn't really on Bloods and Crips like that. Even in Toronto,
yeah,
the first time I heard of any Crip thing was maybe NBC's. I didn't even know it was Newborn Crips.
yeah,
Then I don't know if Boys and Blue were Crips too.
yeah.
I heard about
Right,
them
Boys
in
and
the
Blue, Tiny Toons.
early 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But those are only few.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody became Bloods
Right.
and Crips. But that's from the time NWA blew up until a certain point. It was
Things
a
take
period of
time
time,
as
of
well,
course.
too.
So it didn't really happen when they became mainstream.
no, but it was the ideology of gang culture being
Yeah.
pushed
Because honestly, in Toronto, especially in the 90s,
mainstream.
the way from what I remember, a lot of parks.
Yeah.
The parks were McCormick boys.
Yes.
Everything was
yes.
based on a park.
Yes.
Okay, and
Not
that's-
everybody, but I'm
that's
just saying.
traditional gangs.
Yeah,
That
right?
was a traditional
right?
gang.
But that's the whole thing. That's
People
also
being
what
Bloods and
hold
Crips
on.
in
But
every
what I'm
city
saying
is
is
not
though, this is what I'm saying
traditional
though.
gangs.
This is what I'm saying though. NWA blew up in what, 88, 89? All that shit was going on in the 90s in Toronto.
88.
Right? So if it was because of NWA doing this and that,
No.
No,
it
no.
wouldn't the theory doesn't match. you know what I
NWA
mean?
never actually repped Bloods
No,
and
I know
Crips
that, I
for
know
the
that,
record.
I know that, I
So
know
I'm
that.
not saying
No, I know
NWA
that.
came through and changed gang culture.
No, I know
I'm
that.
saying is
Listen.
gangster rap came through and
Listen,
No,
listen.
it helped. It helped.
propelled gang
All right,
culture.
when we get off
The
the
East
air,
Coast West Coast beef is the real thing I think perpetuated Bloods and
no,
Crips.
no,
internationally.
Not
not at all.
really,
When we get
because
off the air,
people
I'm gonna play you Ice Cube's "Summer Vacation."
Yeah.
In this song, he states how, again, he's pretending to be Crip in the song, whatever. But what happens is a bunch of dudes from LA get in a plane and they go to Seattle. They're selling crack in Seattle.
No, I know.
They
and
fuck
that,
up.
that happened.
So that's they brought to Seattle, they brought to Alabama. That's why they have a movie in '92
Yeah.
called "Crippin' in Alabama." So these dudes took their drugs to other cities
Yes.
and brought their sets,
Good
and then
job.
all of a sudden now they kill somebody
Same
from over
way New York
here.
rappers that go do to Maryland.
Right.
and
So
shit
now
like
you got
that,
beef. You
take
got
over
beef in this new
spots.
neighborhood.
But
This dude gets killed. You guys were Crips. All of a sudden now these guys like, you know what? Fuck it. We're Bloods, and they might get in contact with somebody from LA to affiliate their set,
Or-
and they go hard, right?
And like
or
Snoop
they know
said, right?
Blood because gang culture has become popularized. Like if you're from somewhere and you don't really, if you don't, you know what I mean? It's like me having beef with fucking, I don't know, I'm not gonna name a name.
You also
But
have to
you know what I
understand
mean?
too, a lot
Like,
of these guys from LA are also from the South. Like they have family ties from the
Oh,
South.
yeah,
So
a lot
they
of
go
them do.
home to their relatives and they're bringing that gang culture
until
with
things
them,
are well
right?
known, like if gang culture was never publicized, right?
Yeah.
We here might not even know Bloods and Crips are enemies.
No, we
Well, hold
don't
on
know.
a second, hold on a second.
No, 'cause you
Hold on,
have to
hold on,
know
hold on,
something
slow down,
to
slow
know
down, slow down,
something.
slow down,
All right,
slow down.
all right. Let's see what my
Hold
guy
on for a
says.
second. gang culture has always been known.
Mm-hmm.
And gang culture doesn't revolve around Bloods and Crips.
No, not at all.
No, it doesn't. But that's kind of what I'm.
At the end of the
Getting
day,
at.
we've always had mafias.
Yeah.
Whether it's Jewish mafia, this mafia,
Irish
that mafia,
mafia,
etc.
Yeah.
You know, biker gangs. Been here. I don't know before or after Bloods.
Oh
and
yeah,
Crips.
yeah,
Been
yeah.
here.
Way before.
this is
Way
what-
before.
like,
Yeah.
The point you're making is kind of the initial point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Is that gang culture was publicized
Yeah.
and it was promoted. Before that, you had gangs. You had gangs everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They were like individual gangs. You know what I
What do
mean?
you mean individual
you had
gangs?
biker gangs. You had this. You had that. Yeah, they'd expand and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, there came a point where everybody everywhere wants to be Blood and Crip. You know what
That's
I mean?
because again, this dude came through, made a bunch of money in your fucking town. He was from LA. He sold a bunch of dope, and he hooked these dudes up. All right, you're repping my
I think
thing, repping this.
mainstream music has a big influence.
No,
as well.
it does, but a lot of it too is a lot of footwork and a lot
It's
of
like
people
even
moving
Chaz
around.
Williams from World Class Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
He says as soon as NWA came out, he's seen gangbanging at least double, if
Of
not
course,
triple,
yeah,
in the
yeah.
LA area.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
But I don't think it's just
And that's
because
with just
because
NWA
they're
only
coming
repping
out.
gangbanging. That's not even with them claiming sets.
Yeah.
Once you start getting people claiming sets and stuff and all this promotes the culture huge. It makes people like that's what I'm trying to say. Is like gangs served a purpose at one point. Now it's almost like
People are just doing it for the fuck of it.
well, it's reckless.
Yeah, people doing it
You
for
know
the
what I
fuck
mean?
of it.
It's reckless.
Yeah,
But it's been
Kinda.
reckless. Not now. It's been reckless.
No,
for
it's
the past
been
20
reckless
years.
for a time, but
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like the Black Panthers were considered a gang once.
Yeah.
The Cosa Nostra was considered a gang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these are like capitalist underground networks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now gang culture,
Yeah.
a lot is just a lot of pointless violence.
Nah, I think that's the misconception. Gangs don't. I mean, again, unless you're of a certain age and you guys form to protect yourselves, like real gangs, biker gangs, things like that, they operate to make money. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a bunch of grown ass
Yes,
men.
but it's
you have
not-
families to feed.
it's not an
Number one thing is you
organization,
gotta
though.
make money.
Like La Cosa Nostra.
Mm.
The dude who's in fucking New York or the dude who's in LA, money's funneled back to the
But
top.
you're thinking like Bloods and Crips, like, oh, it's 100 members
it's
deep,
a
as opposed
capitalist
to.
organization, though.
But
It's
stop
just
thinking
underground.
these groups are like
The Black
15, 20
Panthers
deep, and
is
start thinking
an
these groups are like
organization.
You gotta
5,
remember
6
too,
members
with
deep.
a lot of the.
But that's what I'm
A lot of
saying.
the, hold on. A lot of some of these groups, these people have been born into this. To these
Yes.
sets.
Yes.
A lot of them.
And a lot of them
Yeah.
now go away and get skills like army skills and things of this
So it's like-
nature. So they know how to do certain things. You know, for a perfect example, watch Sons of Anarchy. What did those guys do during the daytime? They owned a fucking mechanic shop.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys, like, they do something to make money. It just so happens that
Even-
they're a gang. Now, a lot of gangs operate, they're not necessarily violent.
No,
Again, they're
exactly.
just groups of fucking
Even
friends,
on
but they
Daylight,
make money.
I remember even
But the
Kendrick.
image of a gang to the mass majority is something, and that's kind of the point I'm making. Is that's not really what gangs are. Like,
Yeah.
gangs are an organization of the people.
Most gangs
That's
are
what
really
it is. Like,
small.
if you want to be like the 4th of July movement in
Right.
Cuba, who took over the government,
Yeah, it was like 27
technically
people.
was a gang.
Yeah, but it was a really small move. It was like 27 people or whatever, something like that.
But-
very small amount of people, and then eventually they were able to bring in soldiers and persuade people as they
Exactly,
want.
with more
But
power,
they
more
start
influence.
small.
My thing is this, right? We can say there's rules to a gang, and gangs are this. And
But gangs can be
that,
a very
but
positive
most,
thing.
Most things,
Yeah,
like
they could be negative. That's why I said
all
you know,
gangs have a start, a beginning, and how they begin, and a lot of times it begins on very simple things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
When
A
it becomes
lot of
this
the
calm,
Bronx gangs
but yeah,
do
but when
exactly that.
and that's the thing I wanted to mention too about we kind of went from Bloods and Crips and jumped over what happened in the Bronx.
Yeah.
The reason why they said we're gonna use hip hop or this form of shit to stop this bullshit because there's
Right.
a lot of bullshit happening in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the situation that was
Buildings
happening
burning
there.
down and
You know what I mean?
Well, the amount of fires that happened in the Bronx between 1967 to like
Yeah.
71
ridiculous.
was like
ridiculous.
I think it was like 400,000 buildings a year or something. Like it was
Yeah.
like absolutely.
It couldn't have
fucked.
been that much because that would mean that it was like fucking what, like 1.2 million buildings in the Bronx that burnt down.
Dude.
I heard it was something like 3 a day were burning on
But who were
average.
burning?
Okay, yeah. What
So like
3
3
a day on average?
on
Were
average.
they
So
burning?
like
Were they burning?
So I think it was like 400,000
But they were
over
yes,
the course.
yes, they were
For
for
the
the most
insurance
part they were
policies. Yeah.
insurance fraud.
Because what
That's a lot.
happened is they built the Cross Bronx Expressway right through.
Yeah.
So what they did is families who had like Italian descent, more favored descent,
Yeah.
were given like an incentive.
Loans
and
to move.
Loans to go
yeah,
move to
the
New
black
Jersey
families were
and
not.
money.
They were
and
fucked.
they were not. They were basically left to fend for
Yeah.
themselves.
If you were black and you had a house and they were going to build that highway, it was like, sorry, get the fuck out. And you can't come here to whatever because
The
it's going to
only
be a
thing
white
they
neighborhood.
offered them as well was projects they were
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So if they were building projects, they're like, you could come get subsidized living here.
Yeah.
And that's not even all the family, that's some of them. So what happened is that drew out a lot of the economy.
Yeah,
A lot of businesses left.
for sure.
So now all these people have no opportunity and they're sitting here in this melting pot.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. People were coming, so many people were not paying rent, all this stuff, that the people who own these buildings, it was more beneficial to them to burn them down and get the insurance
Yeah.
claims. And it worked for the insurance companies as well too. So it was this double-edged sword. And what they would do is they would pay the street gangs to go burn down
buildings.
apartments.
Yeah.
And
That goes
with
into
all
what
that,
you were saying earlier.
The firefighters half the time wouldn't even go and fucking put
no,
those fires out.
exactly.
They let the building burn to the
and
ground.
if they did go, a lot of times it was a good, I think it said like 5-hour wait for the fire department to even get there, and
Yeah.
the police, if there was something that happened,
That's
because they were so
crazy.
understaffed and so
That is
much shit
crazy,
going on.
man. Could you imagine? Can you imagine that here in Toronto?
No.
Right now we got
Have you ever
650.
seen footage of the Bronx when
Yeah,
hip hop
yeah,
started?
yeah.
It looks like Iraq during the Bush administration.
No doubt. And what I want to say to that is like we have some buildings now, like 650 Parliament is in a fucking similar situation. Now you got the building right next to it, 250 Wellesley, where it looks like they're about to get fucked over. Like those people at 650 Parliament, they haven't been in their apartments since what, August, September?
Yeah.
Word.
And they might not even be back until they might not
They
even
wanna
be back.
They want to
They
revamp
want
that
to
whole
tear down that
St.
building.
James
And now,
Park.
dude, there's like, and now you got 250 Wellesley, which is just on the next side. It's in a similar fucking position because of a fire yesterday and the electrical thing getting
Wow.
fucked up.
Yesterday?
So yeah, last night.
See, I wonder if
Last night,
this is
so
happening in Toronto now
Cabbagetown,
because they want to
Clear out.
gentrify neighborhoods.
Touching on that, I could see them saying, you know what, if they can't rebuild 650 Parliament and they can't rebuild 250 Wellesley, they might fuck all the Cabbage. Because Cabbagetown is beautiful when you go into the interior.
Yeah.
But that strip there is ugly as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see them doing something similar to that at Parliament and Bloor and trying to fuck up some of those buildings or using these two buildings as a guise to fucking do that. But it is what it is, man. Gangs are gangs. Toronto's had gangs.
This is 10 years ago?
We're Toronto Talks gang.
And
TTG.
Yeah, TTG.
Should I make a sign?
you got a
I
G
don't know,
chest on
man.
top of
I mean,
that.
I'm
Hey,
80s favorite babies gang as
hey.
well, right? I rep 80s favorite fucking
Hey.
babies as well. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? But it is what it is, man.
Yo, we're
Fuck
gonna
it.
fight. We're gonna fight for
We have breaking records versus fucking
yeah.
80s
What
favorite
are we
babies.
fighting for?
I don't know. That Green Bay hat you got on. That Packers
I'll
hat.
fight you for the 7 AC.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get clicked up and come back.
7 acres grow ops or something like
Hey,
that. 7
something
acres
like
cannabis. I think this is Supreme. What I was told was that this is Supreme's like marijuana brand or some shit. I don't know. That's what I was told by the
like
person who
beef
gave it to
like
me.
that.
So whatever. If it is, it
like
is.
beef.
Yeah, man. But fuck this gang shit. Let's talk about a whole other fucking.
Yeah, that was
gang.
a long one.
Let's
eh?
talk
But you know
about-
what?
let's
There's
talk
a lot
about-
to talk about when it comes to that.
Yeah,
shit.
let's
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about Rob Ford and how he's fucking over
Oh,
students in
Dougie,
this city.
Dougie,
Sorry, yeah,
Dougie.
Dougie, right.
Man,
I apologize.
don't really.
Rest in peace,
honestly,
Rob Ford. Let's
we
talk about
we
Doug
can talk
Ford.
about it, but I'm gonna say something I'll probably end up regretting if I start talking about it.
Doug Ford?
Why's
You like
that?
him? He's your boy?
No. Like, and I'll probably end up saying something really dumb that, like, next
Well-
thing you know, I've, like, you know what I mean.
Okay. All right, well, I mean, what I want to touch on...
Did you say this in a podcast?
He's watching his tongue now. Ah, hey!
Yeah, you're saying...
I get it, Joe. We got to do it. We got to
You
be careful.
can't
what we
send that
say.
smoke to the Ford, the Fords or what,
Oh
man?
man, does Doug Ford want the smoke?
I don't know.
Hey,
To be honest with you, I feel like he's fucking over students. I feel like he's
He's
fucking,
fucking over the whole.
Yeah,
lower class.
the whole lower
If I
class.
didn't
who
get
did
a
this
the
fucking
same
fucking-
people that voted for him.
Yo, if I didn't get a new job this year, I would be vexed that
Right?
I didn't get my $15 fucking
Right?
increase, yo, or the dollar.
So
increase.
let's talk about that. So we announced, or Kathleen Wynne announces that there's going to be a wage increase. It's supposed to go up to 15. All the businesses in anticipation of this raise the
already raised
prices.
prices.
This guy gets in the office and says, "Fuck your wage increase." So who
No
ate
longer
that?
free tuition for.
No longer free tuition. No longer lowered. So I think he's cutting OSAP.
Wow.
So or if he's not cutting OSAP, he's lowering what you can get from OSAP and eliminating the 6 month period, because you have 6 months from the time that you
Grace
graduate,
period.
grace
Yeah,
period, to start paying. So he's eliminating that, and then he's saying, well, I lowered tuitions by 10%. I think what we need to do in this province is study what they've done in Quebec, specifically study the students and how they respond to tuition increases, and we need to get on that and we need to get on that double time.
Yeah.
We need to protest just as hard as they do in Quebec. Because anytime they announce they're going to raise taxes or raise school fees or tuition in Quebec, what happens? The students shut that fucking
Turn
province
up.
down.
Well,
They
see,
turn up to the
that's
extreme.
the interesting thing about
And we
Quebec
don't, and we
is that
need
they're
to.
like a rebel province inside the country. They've wanted to fight to get out of Canada for so long.
Such a weird fight.
So they're born with this kind of rebel attitude,
Kind
which
of.
is amazing.
Yeah. Yes and
we
no.
don't stick up for shit.
Yes and no.
Canada, you want to raise that and get the fuck out of
Yes
here.
and no.
Just think
Fuck
about
you. Fuck you.
Just think about all the driving laws that just passed,
Yeah.
all the stuff that passed in the past month and a half.
Yeah.
Everyone's been pretty quiet about it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even mad at the driving laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're gonna come into your house and be like, "Oh, I need a fucking blood test on your house," like that's not really gonna happen. You know,
What?
the cops haven't showed up at anyone's door yet.
Yeah,
It's
they
like,
have.
They have?
Yeah.
And said we need blood within 2 hours because you're driving here and we suspect you're drinking.
Yes.
Where did this happen, man?
I don't know the exact source.
Exactly. It didn't fucking happen.
Man, I'm telling you, look it up. It's happened.
Now they're saying that it could
They
happen.
have the power
Exercise
to
what
do
is.
it.
They
That's
have
the problem.
exercised
Regardless if they
it.
do it or not,
Yeah.
once you have the power to do whatever what you want, you can't fight it.
No.
Unless
Yeah.
you fight it before you allow it to happen.
No, I feel that, but right now I'm more upset with this guy fucking over, lower class people.
Fuck
I don't want to
yeah.
say lower, because lower class makes it sound like we are of a lower class, just economically,
No,
not as
economically, we're all
stable
lower
as
class.
a motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
We're
But
all lower
what
class
he did is
economically.
he's fucked these people over, and he's not even just fucking. He's fucking over tradespeople. He's fucking
a
over.
lot of
Oh,
people.
and here's another thing he says: if you want to lower your tuitions even further, you don't have to pay into some of the things, some of the societies the school has, but you do have to pay into athletics. However, if you don't want to pay into the LGBT thing, whatever, if your school can opt out, you can opt out. So what's going to happen is a lot of organizations that are involved with schools that are for the more affluent people are going to continue to get funded, while the other ones and the more racial groups are going to completely disappear because they're not going to receive the funding from students.
Yeah.
So it's fucking weird what he's done, and it's like very, very easy to see what he's doing and how he's going about doing it. This man is not for the people. He's
No.
for the top.
I
You know
was
what I'm
actually
saying?
talking
Like,
about this earlier with a buddy of mine. I was like, yo, like,
this guy's not for the people.
I liked Rob Ford.
Mm.
I think Rob Ford, yeah, he would smoke crack and shit, but I think he was actually a good mayor.
He had some things that were good, and he had some things that were very questionable.
Well,
Every mayor
everybody
does, though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
right? But he
Exactly.
did do some good.
He
And,
understood.
and he was one for the people.
Yes, he was definitely more so for the people. Again, he had a very odd way of going about it, but he seemed like he genuinely cared about his constituents.
Yeah. And to me, the thing I think is happening is, yeah, he's gone now. Rest in peace, Rob. The name is so tarnished from what Rob did, right? Like a lot of people
Well, not really.
don't really look at Rob's like politics as his legacy though. By any
Right.
means,
Right.
they
A lot
look at
of
him
people-
smoking crack. Like he
no.
was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
A
Like,
lot of people do look at Rob Ford in high regard.
no, a lot of
A lot.
people, especially in Toronto.
Yeah.
Fuck
People
outside.
outside of
yeah, it
doesn't
Toronto,
matter.
Outside,
he's
you don't.
looked at as a clown.
It doesn't matter.
But on a nationwide
They don't
scale,
affect
he has
their
a
economy.
tarnished image, is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And even people, I
I know
know
what you're
people in
saying. I know what
Toronto
you're
who
saying.
think he's a douchebag.
Yeah, who cares?
Literally because of the crack shit.
Yeah, I get what you're
As
saying.
saying.
if they've never
The
fucking.
same people
He is
think he's a
our
douchebag.
version of Marion Barry.
But yeah, but the thing I'm trying to say is that I think the name was so controversial.
Right.
There's so much negativity surrounded by it. Doug, he's like, the fuck? I can't do shit. Like, it's like, you elected me? All right, then I'm gonna do whatever the fuck.
No,
like,
but Doug was kind of the same when his brother was running around. He's no different than back then. You know what I mean?
piece of shit.
Doug was always kind of like, you looked at him, you looked at Rob, you looked at the way they acted. You're like, Rob is like he's the one the family
is the
sent
funny
out to
one.
be the one like, hey guys, I'm
He's like
jovial.
George H.W.
Yeah.
versus
He drew
Chef.
you in. He drew you into the family with his friendliness, and you
Yeah,
knew his
yeah.
brother was like, all right, this guy looks like the more, like he looks like the mafia head compared to
Yeah,
his
yeah,
brother,
yeah.
who looks like he's just the more like free spirit. I'm just gonna have fucking fun, Mayor Quimby style. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Whereas you look at Doug always looked like, oh fuck, Doug looks like he's a fucking, head of a fucking gangster squad or
Yeah.
head of a fucking whatever. Like Doug always had that look, and he always kind of operated the same. Rob, he seemed like he was more willing to at least listen to the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas Doug would just be like, fuck you, I don't give a fuck.
Well,
What do you want,
exactly. But I think, I don't know. I was just saying, like, I think that once you got something like that, like, he's almost like, I can do anything because,
Yeah.
like, I can't really do anything to, like, bring, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like a,
He's operating on a
it's
level where
almost
he
like
almost can
Soulja
do
Boy
whatever
right
he
now.
wants.
Like, Soulja Boy could do anything, and like he's selling fake game systems and
Right,
shit.
right.
But he's still his name is popping
Right.
because of these antics and stuff. It's on an
Exactly.
opposite spectrum of it, but you know what I'm saying? It's like you almost can't do anything to this name
Right.
anymore because
Well,
it's been so
Absolutely.
disrespected. It's been so like. You know what I mean?
Well, here's
It's
the
like,
thing.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like
Steve
Soulja Boy
got
can come
voted
out
in.
rocking a thong in a music
Yeah.
video, and people would still fuck with Soulja Boy
Jesus
more.
Christ, that's a
because
horrible
they're
fucking
like,
visual.
you know what I mean? Like he's already.
No, nowadays
That's a
everything's
fucking
fucked up.
visual. But here's the thing.
Surface level though.
Here's
you know
what I gotta
mean?
ask
Like,
though. Here's what I gotta ask. Would Doug Ford, I keep saying Rob, would Doug Ford have been elected Premier of Ontario if Donald Trump was not the President of the United States of America right now?
Good question.
Would he not have been elected the Premier of Ontario if, again, with the whole Trump thing and people's hate towards Kathleen Wynne, see, they're saying they hate her, which, again, I can completely understand, but was it more of like a we hate you or we're sick of kind of, you know what I mean? Like, we're in like almost an anti-woman, not necessarily era, but they treated her like they treated Hillary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I get it. She has her faults. But she wanted to do some great fucking things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She definitely had some faults. But they treated her the same way they,
But
you know,
the
some
great
people
thing she
kind of treated
wanted to
Hillary.
do in terms of maybe helping out poor class people, when you're of a higher class, you don't want people to be close to your level or more.
No, because
And
they
I feel-
view,
yeah.
they use, people who are at a certain level use your poorness as a measuring stick for their
themselves,
success.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, if you're going to raise the minimum wage from $14.10
closer.
to $15 and I'm making $25 now, it means you as a failure are closer to me as a success in fucking
Exactly.
life.
We've
And that's
talked about that
horrible, man.
before.
That's fucking
But
horrible.
the saddest part is that when you look at statistically, and 1% of the population holds what 99% of
And they
its
hold a
wealth.
good chunk of the wealth.
None of it. There is no middle class and there's no lower class. We're all lower class,
Yeah.
and then there's elite.
The
That's
richest
all there
8 people-
is. Like the people like who drive fucking Teslas or fucking
Yeah.
Maseratis and shit. These people live just within their means as we do. Like a lot of these people aren't fucking, you know, they're not elite. They're not the 1%.
Yeah.
What they are is they're the same as us. They just have a bigger spending budget.
No, the
So they
richest-
have enough more money to pay
Yeah.
for their car.
They're
per
in a
month and
higher
stuff.
bracket.
But if you like put down statistically, you crunch it, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the amount that we live without our means, the amount these people live without our means, I
Yeah.
guarantee you on the majority scale, it's very similar.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. When
That's
you,
why
when you scale it
fucking-
out, absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's the
That's
richest.
why Mike Jordan got to sell his crib.
But the richest 8 people in the world own the same amount of wealth as 3.6 billion people on this planet.
Exactly.
That's crazy. That is ludicrous. I thought, and again, we're talking about Nas approaching a billionaire, but I used to think like, man, I'd love to be a billionaire. And I read something just within the last week or two, which completely blew my mind. And I think it's what's her name? Cortez, the politician, 29-year-old. Spanish, Latino politician from New York, whatever, who's really making a lot of noise. She said anybody who has the ability to generate or make $1 billion, like it's just so wrong. You should not be saving that much
Yeah,
money
you
in
should
this
not
world.
be able to.
And I
have
never
that much
thought
money.
about it like
Yeah.
that, but now I'm thinking about like, yeah, you're right, because you're really stifling a part of the economy
You
by
are.
holding on to that money and hoarding
And
it
not
and
only
not putting
that,
it back.
But the
out so you
only
can share it.
way to really make wealth, you can't do it honestly. In our capitalist society,
Right.
you have to be fucking people somewhere to create
Like,
I get
that
what you're saying.
type of
I get what you're
wealth.
saying.
There is no way you're not.
It's hard to
like,
do it honest.
And no disrespect to like a Puff Daddy or something, but like look at his beef with the Locks, right? Oh, you won't let us off our publishing. We owe you for 10. We got you. You know, we're rough
Of
riders.
all
and
the
you still
choices
take
to choose, you
25%.
choose a.
Well, because I just want to make very simple.
I'm not saying
Simple.
Puff's not innocent, but I'm saying he had to have done a little bit of fucking dirt to get where he got.
Well,
It might
I'm
just
just
been ripping
making it to
people's
the
publishing.
most,
Yeah, ripping
the
people's
most
publishing off or
simple
whatever,
level,
sure,
because
yeah.
that's regular music industry practice.
I get what you're saying, man. I absolutely get what you're saying.
That's the least of degrees.
Yeah.
Now we talk about like the food industry and stuff.
Yeah.
These people are literally doing shit that they know is causing cancers and
Yeah.
millions of people
Putting
on
all
a daily
types of
basis,
fuckery in their food.
funding the science that goes
Yeah.
behind studying the stuff, coming up with results that doesn't fucking incriminate them.
Yeah, putting all types of
this shit.
chemicals
Like,
and
what is it?
additives.
I can't believe it's not Butter or Baycell or one of those companies is the #1 sponsor of the Heart and Stroke Foundation. They donate the most amount of money to the Heart and Stroke Foundation on an annual basis.
That's called covering your bases.
Exactly. So what, you ever think they're gonna come up with a fucking study that shows that margarine is one of the leading causes of heart issues? Hell no.
They don't have
That's
to.
the way our capitalist society
No, I
runs.
feel you.
So that's what I'm trying to say. I use Puff and Locks as an
Yeah.
example
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the most simplistic, almost like reasonable thing I could use, and it's still kind of fucked up. Like, you are fucking people over.
Well, that begs the question.
Like,
Is
you
there...
always do publishing, they're not on your label for this long. They go up on the radio, you call them, and you're like, this is regular business practice and stuff. Like, well, you're saying that stuff, you're counteracting the fact that everything that they just brought up. Like,
Right.
Like, you own like 50% of everything we drop. Like, we've been off your label for years. Like, we have to put this amount of money in our albums. You're taking this. Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
No,
we
that's
need to
what I'm
live.
saying.
And you come up and justify it with like, this is business. This is in the
Yeah,
contract.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
there is no soul to that argument.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It
And
begs
that's
the
a
question in life.
simplistic
Is there a system?
argument.
Is there a system right now better than
And
democracy?
Puff ain't even got a bill. Let's just say that.
But is there a system
But-
right now better than democracy / capitalism, or have we yet to come up with a system in which we can operate and govern ourselves that is better than democracy
No,
/
I think there's
capitalism?
better
Is that the
systems.
pinnacle of where we can go
I
and
think
help
there's
and govern
better
ourselves?
systems. See, what happened is
Because a lot of issues that we deal with today are capitalistic problems.
most of them are swept
Right.
under the rug.
And yet, you try to have any type of form of government. We spoke this earlier in the episode. You try to have another form of government other than capitalism, and you're going to get run
you're
the fuck
attacked.
over.
Well, that's exactly
So-
the point I was going to make. Like, you used to
Is
have
capitalism holding us back as a human
as a
society?
race,
human
yeah,
race?
but everyone's part of this rat race, so no one will give up on it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
No,
But,
I agree. Continue.
Like, basically, colonialism became capitalism through the ideology of, instead of continuously seeing countries and nations revolt against the people in power,
Right.
here's a great idea. Central banking systems really introduced this internationally. Here's a great idea. We'll sell the dream with capitalism. So we're the richest people. We instate the government.
Right.
We do all this. We fund the money. We all this stuff.
Right.
But if everyone can have a piece of the dream,
Yeah.
then no one's gonna fight against it. So how do you get America to revolt when you got what is it, a million millionaires in New York
Yeah.
City? Is that what it is? A million
Something like that.
millionaires?
That's a lot of millionaires,
New York
Jesus.
City.
And they're what, a city of
Alone.
8 million people?
I think
So
might be
one out of
more than
every
that.
8 people in New York's a millionaire?
Might be more than that.
I don't think there's more than 8 million
I don't
people
know.
in
We
New York.
have to look at the statistics, but
Yeah,
I think that's the article that came out in like one of those magazines like within the
Yeah.
last year or two, is that there was like a million.
Millionaires.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I think like
Good
that
for
was
them.
the ring title of the article I read.
Good for them.
But either way, like, and that was like Bloomberg magazine or something.
Yeah.
But
How many of them got fucked over when Madoff?
well, who knows,
You know?
right? And who knows how long they're worth a million? Who knows
Yeah.
any of that? But what I'm saying is the fact that that's how much the dream is sold, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you got people who will never be as elite as these central banking families who have been basically playing puppeteer of the planet
Right.
for however many years.
Right.
You never have people that will ever get close to that rich. Like the other day, I seen someone make a post and like, that one dude from Amazon, his wife split,
Jeff
so she
Bezos,
gets half
yeah.
the money, and they're like, "Oh, I guess, I do remember."
So he's
who it
worth
is,
like
but I'm not gonna call him
$137
out.
billion.
I'm not gonna call him out.
Yeah.
But he's like, "I guess Bill Gates is the richest man in the world again," and I'm like, "You run like this big organization." I'm like,
Yeah.
How are you not privy to the fact that Bill Gates was never the richest man in the world?
Well, I mean,
He's who the media told you was.
Yeah.
But that,
Right.
he doesn't have.
they're telling you that based on whatever. The richest people in the world, I mean,
No,
if you really look at
he's
it.
the richest person who bought onto the dream.
Right.
He's not the richest person in the world.
Right, he's not Sir Evelyn Rothschild.
Exactly. But he's the richest person that hopped onto the dream of capitalism
I
and
feel
would be
you.
able to make it.
I feel
And
you.
that's what is the thing holding us back. And that's why I said, like, I respect Quebec for being like, yo, fuck that to anything. Because even though they are part of a capitalist society, they have the balls to get to a point where they'd be like, nah,
Yeah.
we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so much of Western civilization has bought on to this colonial transformed dream of being a part of the dream.
Well, again-
opposed to actually like looking at it.
So
for what
that
the shit
begs
is.
a whole other question, right? Specifically, if you look at an American dollar where it says, "In God we trust."
Yeah.
So, are we really a society who is, let's say, caught up in the cult of capitalism? Are we just a cult of capitalists? That begs the motherfucking question. And I think we are, because here's
Yeah.
why I will say we, specifically in North America, but we are a cult of capitalists because we're putting capitalism before the environment.
Anything.
We put capitalism before our own safety
about how
and
many
before the
times-
future of our own
Think about
planet.
how many times you have a simple
Cult of capitalism.
debate or argument with somebody who's broker than you are.
Right.
And their defense, in their argument, stands no moral purpose, no just purpose, no mental purpose that makes any sense except capitalism.
Right.
And once again, let's use a very simple excuse. But when you say something about someone being dope on Facebook, and they're like, you ain't do Drake numbers.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's
Again,
like,
that's the cult
it's
of
like you're
capitalism
working at
bullshit.
McDonald's, fam. You making like 25 G's a year, and you are using an argument that does not stand any just to you. It actually tears against the grain of your life. It's ruining you.
Yeah.
And you're using that as a defense in an argument for something somebody
You know
else.
what's fucked up, B? This has happened a few years ago. A dude was begging for change. Fuck it, at King and what's the place? Bathurst.
Okay.
And he starts bringing up the Queen of fucking England.
Ah.
And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is the Queen of England doing for you? You're here begging for fucking change.
You ain't even got a shelter to live in.
And you're talking about the Queen in the highest regard.
Yeah.
And it goes into what you're saying, man. It's fucked up.
It's just we're a brainwashed society. Is
Yeah,
exactly what
we
are.
definitely are, and that's
no
why.
fuck up.
That's why, you know what I mean. Like you could tell. And how can I say this, man? But that's why there's a drastic difference between us and, let's say, Aboriginal people.
Yeah.
They don't put value per se into this capitalistic bullshit.
And
they
anytime
put
they
value
have,
into the
it's
earth.
burnt them.
Exactly.
So
they
they've
put
learned
value
the
into
lesson.
what's real.
It's like the dudes on the island who speared the fucking guy in the boat who wanted to spread. Get your Catholic fucking shit the fuck out here.
They didn't even know he was any of that.
No, they're just like,
an
get the fuck
intruder.
out of
You're
here.
an intruder.
Nah, you ain't. Nah, fam. Peace.
Yeah. No, but this is definitely a cult.
Salute to them.
Capitalism is definitely a cult. And what people don't understand is, and I think it's going to happen within the next 10 years. All these people are invested, myself too. We're invested in something that is called fiat currency.
Oh yeah.
Now, what fiat currency
It's
is?
false. It's false.
Exactly.
The only thing that keeps, because
the only
firstly,
thing that keeps wealth is gold.
the
and silver.
American
That's
dollar
it.
control.
That's
The
it.
American dollar is the currency of the
Yes.
planet. The only reason
It
is
sets the
because
standard.
they trade oil and petroleum
Right.
in American money.
Until
Still.
1971, they based the American dollar's worth on a piece of gold. You can
Yep.
trade your
The
dollar
gold
for a
standard.
piece
Nixon
of gold.
took them off them.
Right. When they took it off of that, they did it to oil, which is fine. I understand it. It regulates the price of oil, but the problem is all fiat currencies crash.
And did
Every
you
single
also know
one of them.
that Fort Knox, the gold reserves in Fort Knox, have not been audited since 1952?
Okay.
And that's where the gold was held that backed up the American standard.
But they're actually not the one who set the rate on gold. The rate
No,
of
the
gold
Fed.
is set in London. No, it's not the Fed. It's set in London City by the Rothschilds. They make millions a week by adjusting the interest
But
levels of
the,
gold.
the Fed is a part of that central bank.
Kind of. They print all currencies that are worth
when they
everything.
signed the Federal Reserve Act in
Yeah.
1913 under Woodrow Wilson, that's exactly what they did.
Okay.
They took the rights from the American
Right.
government to print their own currency
Exactly.
and
And took
gave
it
it
to
to the
London
central
City.
banking
Yes.
system.
Yeah.
So that the Rothschilds are controlling that,
Yeah.
literally. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I say, like central banking runs the planet. If you look up, I can't remember when, but about
Well, if you just look at
4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
I seen a list, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, either way, I seen a list of, I think there was only maybe 8, 9 countries left on the planet
that weren't getting the money printed
part
by them.
of the central banking
So it would have been North
cartel.
Korea, Iraq, Libya, Zimbabwe,
Nigeria
Cuba,
was one.
Cuba, Nigeria.
And I remember looking at
I
this
can't say
list.
Nigeria is hella rich though. I don't think Nigeria is one of them.
Where were they recently at war with? Like which African country or like one of those? Like during
I wanna
Obama's
say
and his
Libya.
administration,
Libya.
was it Libya?
Yeah, Libya. I already said Libya. So
Okay,
Libya's
my
on that
apologies.
list.
But either way, I looked at this list and I was like, I guarantee you, I'm not gonna say which one. I can't remember which homie I was with, but I'm like, America is invading one of these countries in the next 5 years. Next thing you know, bam, the next country they go to war with was one of like the 8 countries left on this
Well,
list.
not even just them. They wanted to go with North Korea. They went with Iraq. But the reason why they went into Libya is because Muammar Gaddafi wanted to have a centralized African currency based off of African gold. So he was going to separate and be like, yo, fuck you guys. We have our
create our
own
own
currency. Exactly.
Yeah.
If you actually look at Libya, the country, before America destroyed it, they had almost 100% literacy. They had aqueducts and clean water to every house. You would get a brand new house if you got married, plus $50,000 to put basically towards your family. What he was doing, like Gaddafi was an asshole at times, and it looked like he was switching in the last 20 years or something to like he wanted to reshape Africa.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know the 100%, and someone could say, oh, whatever, you don't know everything about Gaddafi. But towards the end of his life, it seemed like this guy loved Africa and wanted to rebuild it. So I know he wanted to have a centralized currency backed by African gold, and that was the downfall, because that would have thrown a lot of other currencies into a downward spiral. Not only that, that would have destroyed France, because now these countries would have said, hey, you want our goods, but we have an economy. You better pay us for our goods, or because we're a centralized economy, we can all team up and you cannot invade us because we have a centralized army. This would have made one continent that much stronger. Now, it just so happens this continent is the youngest in age.
Then it starts to bleed.
Right. Not only just that, Africa is the youngest continent when it comes to age. It has the most mind power, but it also has the most resources, and they have yet to benefit from the resources. The number one resource right now in Africa that we all of a sudden now have a mass use for is cobalt. Cobalt is in all of our electronics, our electric cars. We didn't need cobalt 15 years ago, right? We didn't need it 20 years ago. Now the price of cobalt has doubled in the last 5 fucking years because we need it to cool down all of our machines. Right?
And actually, speaking of mining in Africa as well, too, it actually correlates with the point I was making before about how you buy onto the dream. And a great example is, you know, De Beers mining company.
Yeah, man, Rhodesia.
Well, diamonds, even to this day, most people
they were shit.
Yeah, if you ask someone what the most valuable stone is,
they'll say
most people will say a diamond.
But we gave it that value.
Exactly. De Beers gave it that value through an ad campaign they did. The term "diamonds are forever" is from their ad campaign. And ever since then, there's been this big financial thing, like they've, you know, paid celebrities to wear diamonds and all this stuff, and it became this valuable diamond. But it's not the rarest gem or stone on our planet. It's not, like, why do you think fucking, like, African kings or, like, you know, Egyptian kings were rocking rubies and emeralds and stuff? These are rare stones.
Gold.
You know what I mean? Gold. Diamonds are not rare.
No, I feel you.
They're not rare.
I feel you.
And they're not that valuable.
It's just the fact that it takes...
It's the same thing as the fiat currency. But what they did is that's the same ideology of what our capitalist cult that we're living in is. They sold you a dream. They sold you an idea and you bought on. Same with diamonds. Now you're not going to be looking for... Like, I can't remember. What is the most valuable gem in the planet, actually? Like, the most actual... I know it. I just can't think of it off the top right now.
I mean, platinum is the most precious metal, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's the rarest metal, I believe.
Yeah. So it's worth, that's why it's worth a little bit more. Because, and then that's the thing, the rarer something is, the more it's going to be worth.
I believe it's actually more rare.
And also what uses they have, right? So gold and silver have medical uses, things of that nature. Diamond has medical uses as well. But yeah, and that's another thing too. When you start to see the price of gold and specifically silver skyrocketing, that's when you know your currency is about to fall. That's when you know your nation is about to go to war. When gold goes up, it means your dollar is about to go down, oil is about to go down, your economy is about to crash, and chances are your nation is about to go to war. Yeah, but yeah, fuck, I want to look that up. What's, you know, what the rarest ruby or what the rarest gem is? Like,
I can't remember, but it's like it's definitely one that we all like know. We've heard of. Like, I
don't think it's like jade or anything like that, or emeralds or anything. But
no, it's not emeralds. It's not ruby.
Not quartz, because quartz is just
not
basically
quartz.
crushed stones,
like
right?
That's like the fake diamond. But
no, I think quartz is found like when you crush like rocks and sand, it's like, you know,
that shiny stuff.
Yeah, and it works on a vibration level. Like, I think there's theories now that they were using crushed stones to move some of the bricks in the pyramid through the quartz, and it's
we don't have to get into that.
Oh, that'd be a great episode.
The Great Pyramid in Giza was a battery.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard it was gold plated and it was able to generate electricity.
Zinc in the bottom. The Nile River would have ran through the bottom.
Let's do an Egyptian episode. That'd be fucking great.
On another episode.
Super stone Egyptian episode.
So we're pretty well out of here. We didn't get to talk about Soulja Boy, King Push, Drake's Restaurant, but you know what? We had a good episode.
Time for that.
Yeah, man.
We didn't get no smoke this week.
Oh, we got a little bit of smoke. Fuck Doug Ford. There's smoke enough.
True. Fuck him.
Hopefully the RCMP doesn't show up in anybody's door. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Hey, fuck those guys too for what they're doing out in BC, man.
Hey, man, fuck them for how they started.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true, man. Like, I saw that. I read about how they started, man.
Gang.
Not only their first Canadian gang, they started out in the East, and they were basically started to go and move native tribes who were in the way of where they wanted to lay the train tracks.
Well, they were literally created to control the fur trade.
Yeah. And they were
police the fur trade.
Police the fur trade, and if you had a native, you know, residential area, and you were in an area where, you know, because they were laying down the train tracks, they would come in their big red suits and their horses and get you the fuck out so they could lay the train tracks down.
Yeah.
So shout out or fuck the RCMP.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say that. I gotta leave the country in a few days. I don't want to be like flagged by CSIS and shit.
Good luck in the fucking States at the airport.
Oh man, I'm not looking forward to this TSA shit.
like from Hawaii or Hawaii.
Oh
Wherever
man,
that
yeah,
phone company's
I
from.
don't know if I'm not related to anybody who owns $1 billion company, so I don't have shit like that to worry about. They'll just throw my ass in jail, lock up the key, and you guys never hear from me again.
Hey.
That being said,
Shout
I'm
out
going
to
to Las Vegas
Dustin
next week.
going missing.
Yeah. So I'm going to Las Vegas next week. Hit me up. Let me know if there's any games you want me to play or something.
Hey.
I don't fucking know what I should do in Las Vegas, but I'm just gonna go have some
Have
fun.
fun, my G.
Yeah.
Have fun.
I hope
Don't,
you guys
don't
kill
go
it here.
crazy on the slots.
I'm gonna try to call in.
Nah, go crazy.
I should try to call in.
It depends. If you win, then fine.
Bro, that's how you get free drinks.
Yeah?
Yo,
you play.
you play the penny slots, and a bartender will come by and hey, you want anything? You give her a
Figure
$2
it.
tip, and she'll give you free drinks
As long
all
as you
fucking day.
playing.
As long as you're playing those penny slots, bro.
Yeah.
I did my
Fuck
research.
am I doing?
Toronto Talks need
I
to
know
go
how
on a
I'm
Vegas
drinking
trip.
Fuck I'm doing.
3 of us need to go on a Vegas trip.
Oh, we should. I'm gonna try calling next week from Vegas. But that being
Okay.
said,
But all
great
right.
episode.
Another great episode. We actually talked this week.
Yeah,
We talked about shit.
yeah,
We're talking about real shit.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
like
productive.
reminiscent of our early episodes.
Yeah, it was productive.
I feel like I should give someone smoke right now before.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
That's what happens when I don't smoke weed before we do a
Let's
podcast.
just say if you don't trust cats, I can't trust you.
Wow.
On that note, what up, homie? Alright, we out there, man. Toronto Talks, one love, folks. Peace.
This motherfucker.
You
In the
gotta hit
meantime, yes, Nitty Scott. I need to bring you to Toronto. I love Nitty Scott. She's one of my favorite female rappers.
Hit that X button over there.
Go
Yeah.
Nitty. Go Nitty.
I don't even know where to hit it.
Nitty Scott. Pow pow and more pow.